Hello everyone, good morning. Welcome to the program, 15th day of January 2024. How was your weekend? Karibu sana to the program. This is Good Morning Kenya. Form 1s are reporting back to school today. Official reporting day is going to be one busy week for parents, guardians, and caretakers across the country. Now that is the norm. It has to be done. To all the students joining Form 1, we wish you all the best. And just remember, you are there for a reason and for a season. So make the best out of it. All right, so in the political segment, the onslaught against the judiciary still continues, and the president still maintains that he's going to weed out any corrupt character, according to him, from the judiciary. And now, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has now come out clearly and said that he will, on Thursday, file a petition against Justice Esther Maina, who had his case 2 years ago. And now, he says that that is part of corruption that is being experienced in the judiciary. So, how is it going to be? Today on Eye on Politics, we want to look at what is really happening in the political and in the judiciary. So today is politics here, law there. Politics here, law there. Where do we cut between the two? All right, karibu to the program. But right about now, we are still joined by Junei Karisa from Mombasa. Junei, good morning from Mombasa County. How is Mombasa doing, Junei?
Good morning, Victor Olo. We are coming to you live from the beautiful city of Mombasa. And today, my name is Junei Karisa. And apart from being known for our authentic Swahili cuisines, as well as hospitable nature, we are also known for our saying. And here in Mombasa, there is a saying that says, kazi si kuzaa, kazi ni kulea, ama kusema, kuzaa sio kazi ila kazi ni kulea. It is a saying that says when you give birth to a child, that is not the job. The job is rearing a child or bringing up a child that mirrors what the society deems fit. But what happens when that plan fails, or what happens when that child doesn't turn out as what the society deems fit? And what does the society say that is okay, and what does the society say is not okay according to parents? We will be dissecting, most importantly, the impact of poor parenting. What are the effects? What are the contributing factors? My guest, Rabek, will be here. He is from the Kenya School of Government. He will be here to just give us a glimpse of what is entailed and how parents can cope with their children when it comes to failed parenting or poor parenting, or the child has diverted from what their parents have been giving them as good morals. So we'll be talking so much more in an hour here from the county of Mombasa, County 001. I will be looking forward to that discussion. But for now, I hand it back to you, Victor Olo. As we prepare, let's keep the conversation going. I look forward to the solutions that will be arrived at when we are done with that conversation, to ensure that we restore the family values as well as cohesion among our family setup. So we'll be looking forward to that. I will see you in an hour's time. Back to you, Victor Olo, in studio.
Perfect. Junei Karisa joining us from Sauti House in Mombasa. You heard it. So parenting, it's one of the duties that you'll never take a vacation from. You'll never say that this time around I'm going to take leave for 2 weeks of parenting. Yeah. Mike, telepathy at work. I'm going to tell you why is telepathy at work today on set. Take it away.
Well, good morning and welcome to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Migwe. It's a beautiful Monday morning, and thank you for joining us right here on Good Morning Kenya. We are going to have very engaging conversation, incisive interviews, and press reviews. And talking of telepathy, Victor, please, what do you mean?
We all got the memo.
Yeah.
We all got the memo.
Yes.
You understand? And when all of us will have to tell why, Marie and Vivian, we got the memo.
Yes.
We are good people.
Yeah.
We did. Surprise, surprise.
And one of the things maybe to touch on is that the price of super petrol, kerosene and diesel has gone down by 5 shillings. And I'm sure that is good news to the people, especially motorists in the country. This is something that people have always looked forward to. And this change in prices takes effect from today up to the 14th of February this year. This is something that people, especially motorists, have been looking forward to. Good morning, Marie.
Well, a very good morning to you. I did get the memo.
You got it. You got the memo.
You got it.
I did. You know, Vivian, I don't know, telepathy, did we see each other somewhere? You know?
I don't know. But the gents are also in navy blue suits.
In sync,
so
yes.
We all did get the memo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it happens. There is a science to it, by the way. I shall not go into it, but there is a science to it.
Birds of the
Victor.
Semangoa.
There is a science to it.
Great minds.
There's a way when people spend a lot of time together, you tend to like think the same. So, but I wouldn't get into that.
So you think the same with the mic?
It's deeper than that.
Okay.
So a very good morning to you also back at home from wherever you're watching us. We're glad that you could join us this morning. My name is Marie Yambo. Just as Mike has already alluded to, the fuel prices have gone down, but I do not know whether it's good news, Mike. I'm not so sure whether it's good news because it doesn't trickle really down as much. The fares will still be up in as much as somebody needs to prove me wrong, but the fares will still be up. The prices of basic commodities will still be up. So Kenyans want to see it trickle down to their pockets. That's when they can appreciate actually the lowering of fuel prices. By 5 shillings for diesel and petrol and 4 shillings for kerosene for that matter. So again, in the news, I'll be bringing you another sad news of a lady who was found dead in Airbnb in Roysambu. So I'll be bringing you that story later on in the news. But right now I want to give a chance to my colleague, Vivian.
A very good morning and welcome to Good Morning Kenya. Thank you for choosing us to start off your morning. It is a beautiful day. At least today we didn't experience rains in the city of Nairobi, but the weatherman says that the rains are expected to continue up till the end of this month, and it is alluded that these are the El Nino rains that we got to experience in December, from last year, December, and the rains are continuing up till the end of this month. So I hope that you are going to be looking after yourself and ensuring that you are careful. But the weatherman also says that these rains are good for agriculture. It is good for agriculture. And today, right here on Good Morning Kenya, later on in the show, I will be having a conversation on agribusiness and food security. I will be joined by biotechnologist, that is Professor Richard Odwor. He is the chairman, Kenyatta University Biotechnology Consortium, and joining him as well will be Dr. Ruth Mbogwa, and she is the Dean School of Health Sciences at Mama Ngina University College, and we will be just looking at agribusiness as a whole and how it impacts food security, and also get to talk on what we can do to ensure that we get the youth involved when it comes to matters agriculture. You definitely want to tune into that. Right now, I'll hand it back to Marie as she takes us through the world of news.
Indeed, Vivian. To the news now, where a body of a middle-aged woman was discovered in an Airbnb apartment in Roysambu while dismembered, and her body parts packed in polythene bags but without the head. Now, the premises caretaker and the manager of the Airbnb, who have since recorded statements at the Kasarani police station, said the suspected killer booked the room on Saturday evening and returned the key early on Saturday morning before disappearing. His image was, however, captured in a nearby location where he was referred to fetch the room keys. Now, the remains of the unidentified woman have been preserved at the city mortuary. Let's get the details.
In Roysambu, TRM Drive along Thika Road, residents are in shock following a gruesome murder of an unidentified middle-aged woman in an Airbnb. Her dismembered body parts were packed in separate bags, but her chopped head and the neck were missing. According to the manager of the Airbnb, Rispa Mudhoni, the shocking series of the events began when a man booked the room on Saturday at about 3 p.m. and returned the key early on Sunday morning before making his way out. Later in the morning, the caretaker came in contact with polythene bags and blood-soaked bedsheets dumped near the dustbins. The caretaker, however, said the building does not have a CCTV camera, making it difficult to identify the killer or any other suspicious activity in the building. Further, the manager of the Airbnb did not register the names or identification details of the two. The killer, who seemed to have planned the murder in advance, also made the payment via cash after he alleged that his phone had a problem and urged a nearby M-Pesa agent, who has not been disclosed, to deposit the payment on his behalf. However, in the investigations, police discovered that the killer was captured by a CCTV camera in a nearby premises where he had been referred to pick the room's key. He was wearing a black jeans trouser, a black jumper, a navy blue shirt, specs and a white cap. This comes just days after another woman was killed in an Airbnb in South Sea, Nairobi. Giverson Minor, KBC, Channel 1.
Well, sad states of events there. Now, President William Ruto has reiterated his government's commitment to eliminating banditry and cattle rustling in the North Rift. The president says the government has acquired modern equipment for the security officers to deal decisively with the bandits. The president also says the government plans to increase funding to the Agricultural Finance Corporation to enable farmers get loans at affordable rates to make the country food secure. Let's get more details.
President William Ruto attended a church service in Iten, Elgeyo Marakwet County. He took the opportunity to assure the residents of the insecurity-prone county that the government will eliminate the banditry and cattle rustling soon.
Mimi nataka niwaeleze ya kwamba tutamalizana na mambo ya banditry katika sehemu hii. And the people of Kerio Valley, from Baringo, Samburu, Elgeyo Marakwet, to West Pokot, to Turkana, we are going to have peace in this valley.
He said 2 more sub-counties of Kerio Valley and Kolo sub-counties will be created in the area and will be operational in the next 90 days. On food security, the head of state said the funding to the Agricultural Corporation of Kenya will be increased for the farmers to get loans at affordable rates and produce more food, promising to eliminate the importation of food in the next 10 years. The head of state further stated that Kenya Cooperative Creameries Limited will be modernized and the price of milk per litre will be increased to 50 shillings for the farmers to get enough profits from their milk. The head of state further assured the beneficiaries of affirmative action funds that from this month they will receive their monthly stipends every month through M-Pesa, unlike in the past when they had to wait for 6 months. Tilio Marco for Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you, Tilio Marco. Now, Azimio-affiliated leaders have urged the government to deviate from the arbitrary introduction of new levies in the bid to generate more revenue and instead channel their energies to taming corruption. The leaders who spoke during a church service in Kisumu equally want the government to stop borrowing, arguing that it is only by sealing corruption loopholes in the country will the government generate the funds needed for service delivery as well as service public debt, as Weekly for Cage now reports.
Reduce the tax rate, broaden tax base. Stop this expensive kalongolongo taxation, where even a young man who gets married pays a tax to the government. People will not get married, they will just come and stay together.
Enough with the new levies, instead broaden the tax base. Azimio la Umoja is urging the Kenya Kwanza administration.
When we were with President Kibaki, one of the first things we did was to reduce tax levels. And then you expand the tax base. And then you seal all the loopholes for corruption. And once you do that, there will be sufficient money to serve the country and give money and serve all your debts. faithfully.
The opposition leaders said President William Ruto should focus on sealing corruption loopholes to generate more funds.
There's nothing wrong in collecting taxes. What is wrong is embezzling taxes which have been collected. And then when those taxes are punitive, then it is wrong, because the people can no longer tolerate them.
Led by opposition chief Raila Odinga, the leaders also called on the government to rethink its borrowing strategy, claiming that the government is robbing Peter to pay Paul.
You don't borrow to pay debt. You're just increasing debt. You are in a deep hole and you're continuing to dig. You're actually doing nothing. Get out of the hole.
Odinga and his allies accused the Anglican Church of Kenya of doing little to call out the government's excesses.
It is also a time that the church, if not now, if not before, that the church need to take a position about things that support Kenyans, because Kenyans are suffering.
So we want the church to speak the truth to power and to tell those who are in power today, the people are hurting.
The opposition leaders spoke on Sunday at a church service in Kisumu. For Channel 1, I am Wycliffe Okech.
Thank you, Wycliffe Okech. Now, a section of leaders from Nyanza region, allied to the ruling UDA party, is condemning what they termed as ethnic incitement by the Orange Democratic Movement, ODM, against leaders from the region who are cooperating with President William Ruto's government. Led by former Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero, the leaders defended the Interior Principal Secretary Raymond Omolo against criticism by ODM and urged the party to respect democracy and allow the Luo community chart their political destiny.
I must join my colleagues in condemning this outdated strategy that ODM is using to promote monolithic and cultic style of leadership in our region.
Where leaders holding positions of responsibility come out in the glare, in the full glare of the media to incite populations against people of their own is unacceptable and must be condemned by everyone.
Ninajua kwamba ni kwa sababu ya takrimu zile ambazo zinaonekana upande ule wa Nyanza, ambazo registration ya members kuingia katika chama tawala inaendelea. Leo hii tukisimama hapa tuko na zaidi ya 1350 members ambao wameisha register kwa chama tawala.
The Nyanza votes have already gone to UDA, you like it or not, they are gone. And we are busy doing our own things like registration. That's what we're doing. If they cannot put their house in order, that is up to them.
We know they've started bargaining. The people who are the followers of the head of the party don't know that their boss has already moved. He has moved.
Now to matters education, where KBC Boys Secondary School in Nyamira County has for the first time gotten the first grade A plane since its inception. Clement Nyangacha, the chief principal of the 60-year-old school, acknowledges a new slogan, that is Operation Grade A Lazima, as one of the contributing factors to the good results with a mean grade of 8.4.
Inscribed on the walls of 60-year-old KBC Boys High School that has stood the test of time is the motto committed to excellence. But a new slogan, Operation Grade A Lazima, OGAL, oiled the wheels of success, resulting in the first grade A plane, followed by 4 A-minuses, a first in the institution. According to the principal, Clement Nyangacha, the school had 309 candidates, of whom 303 scored a C+ and above, with others getting a C plane.
Those ones at the top, we had identified them, and then we said from this, actually we formed what we call an iron group. In that file, I have a list of boys that I thought from whom we were going to get A's. And indeed, what is not, mean, we got the boys from this group. This is called the iron group. It's kept in the principal's office.
We had a group of around 9 nine candidates per teacher. So we had to have them as our kids. We guide them, we talk to them. Like I'm also happy that among these top performers, I also have a student.
Meanwhile, Kariri girls in Kisii County celebrated a sterling performance of 9 A-, 108 B+, 91 B plane, 100 C+, and the last had a D plane in the institution, which had a mean grade of 7.66 points, an improvement by the 615 candidates that sat for the 2023 KCSE exams.
We have a number of them, around 15. And I'm up to report that most of these candidates scored a grade of between B- and P+. And we had the best in that category of 292 marks who emerged with a mean score of B+.
In Mobambo Mixed School, where 500 candidates sat for KCSE, the school's top performer had an A-, the majority got a C+, and the least had a C-.
Ningependa kumshukuru mwalimu mkuu na kuomba ya kwamba Mungu atampatia afya aendelee kuwa hapa.
Elsewhere, parents of Oleroko Mixed Secondary School in Transmara West say they are not amused by the school's poor performance in KCSE.
So, tunaomba hivi kama venye tumeshirikiana kwa mgomo hii, mwalimu mkuu wa hii shule lazima aondolewe na hii shule ichunguzwe vilivyo, tuangalie shida iko wapi, kwa sababu hiyo miaka 12 yenye wamekuwa hapa hatujaona matokeo mazuri.
Tunapeana ultimatum ya wiki 2. Asipoenda tutachukua watu wengine.
The school that had 23 candidates recorded a paltry mean score of 1.5, with the leading 3 candidates scoring a D plane, with 2 others attaining a D-. The remaining settled for an A.
Tunaenda makibarua tusomeshe watoto yetu, lakini kukuja kupata kitu ulikuwa unatarajia uwezi pata kitu. Tunalia sana kwa hii Olereko. Tumejenga shule, wenyewe wamejenga shule, kwa maana watu waliamua kusema tunataka shule yetu ayamarike.
Lakini ukijaribu kuona wanafunzi wenye wako hii shule, they are less than 60. From form 1 to form 4, they are less than 60. Na wako hapa. This is one thing.
Finally, Wadau wa Elimu, a social movement that brings together stakeholders in the education sector and government, has called on all secondary schools that performed well in KCSE to mentor other schools so that they can also improve their performance.
We are encouraging benchmarking and mentorship to improve standards of our education. And what we have experienced today at Tenwek High School is meticulous work. That is a product of commitment over the years.
Can serve an example. There are schools that can come here, and this is the encouragement we are giving the school leaders.
We have presented 4 schools that are going to be under the mentorship of Tenwek High School.
Shule yote ile na utaratibu wake, na utaratibu huo tutaendelea kuboresha na mambo yatakuwa shwari.
The movement has identified 4 schools in South Rift to be mentored by Tenwek High School, which includes Cheptenye High School, Merigi Secondary School, Chepkosilan Secondary School, and Koiwo Secondary School. Tenwek High School produced 20 A-planes and 70 A- in the just released KCSE examinations, making it a top school in the region.
Away from matters education, and Nyeri Governor Mutahi Kahiga has broken ranks with the Kenya Kwanza administration's move to take supervision of the cooperative societies back to the national government under the Ministry of Cooperatives. Speaking during the Nyeri Teachers Annual General Meeting at Nyamachake Primary School in Nyeri, Kahiga said that the oversight of the cooperatives is a devolved function that should not be moved from the counties.
Kahiga stated that the county governments are opposed to moving oversight of cooperative societies from counties to the national government ministry, noting that counties have been given these mandates under the constitution.
One of the devolved functions is the supervision of cooperatives. The running, the management of cooperatives is really a function of the counties. And for quite some time, we are now beginning to see some kind of unnecessary interference.
Under the new bill, which is yet to be ratified by the National Assembly and Senate, the mandate of oversighting cooperatives have been reverted to the Ministry of Cooperatives. However, Kahiga thinks that counties can deal with cooperatives and have proven themselves by running well early child centers.
One of the things that this country must understand is that the Council of Governors and governors are not asking for any extra function. We are only saying, can we implement the Constitution in its entirety? We are already maybe in the third cycle of devolution, and it doesn't help to continue now haggling over functions.
New Forties SACCO chairman John Githinji urged the government to be considerate while instituting deductions arising from taxation, saying that overtaxing Kenyans may lead to defaulting on loans.
Anytime a member who is earning salary has some reduction of some money that they have been receiving, that creates a bigger challenge because that member is not able to access funds or more funds. He is also unable now to service even the funds that have been on running, because the reduction in income also will affect, and most at some point may even become defaulters, which is a big risk.
That story brings us to our first break of the bulletin. We'll be back with much more.
Get ready for a captivating continental football extravaganza. KBC Channel 1 brings you exclusive coverage of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations. From Saturday 13th January to Sunday 11th February 2024, Cote d'Ivoire is the battleground for 24 teams fighting to lift the prestigious trophy. Who will be crowned kings of African football? Watch all the action unravel only on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner. Get ready for the captivating return of the FKF Premier League, exclusively on KBC. Brace yourself for the thrill of football as 18 teams battle it out for glory. Every week, KBC brings you not one, but two heart-pounding matches, delivering the best football action right to your living room. The stakes are higher than ever. The league champion takes home a handsome prize of 5 million shillings and also earns the honor of representing Kenya in the prestigious CAF Champions League. Feel the adrenaline, experience the suspense, and join the roar of the crowd as we celebrate the return of Kenya's football legacy. The FKF Premier League, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1 and KBC radio stations. Save the date, mark your calendars, and get ready for the ultimate football spectacle. Coming to you live only on KBC. KBC, your true sports partner.
Thank you for keeping it Channel 1. Now, the Kenya Forest Service has embarked on a tree planting exercise for the year 2024 to implement the KFS component strategy for the 30% tree cover. Now, according to the Chief Conservator of Forests, Alexander Lemakoko, one of the main businesses for the service will be raising seedlings and growing trees in a bid to achieve Kenya's ambitious plan of planting 15 billion trees by 2032. Lemakoko has vowed to work with the community forest associations to realize the plan.
The Kenya Forest Service says it is working to meet its projected target of 300 million trees.
Kenya Forest Service is going to progressively implement the KFS component of the strategy for the 30% tree cover. And that strategy basically requires KFS to raise and plant 300 million seedlings. That cannot be possible when you don't plan our nurseries, when you don't plan our labor.
Chief Conservator of Forest Alexander Lemakoko says the service will work with various stakeholders, particularly the Community Forest Association, to achieve the set targets.
We are also here to work with our stakeholders and demonstrate also that we are not going to go it alone. We are going to work with stakeholders, and particularly the CFAs, who are the critical stakeholders for Kenya Forest Service.
The Kenya Forest Service is banking on technology to enhance production and utilize the huge workforce for an added advantage.
The other plan for Kenya Forest Service is basically to ensure, utilize the big number of staff that was added to us by the government. We now have an additional 3,221 personnel to Kenya Forest Service. That's a very big boost of personnel. We must utilize them for purposes of raising seedlings, for purposes of protecting our forests, and for purposes of ensuring that there is efficient management of our plantations.
To deal with the challenge of training, which has plagued the service for the past 3 decades, the service has embarked on a training exercise for the personnel to equip them with the necessary skills and competence.
We are also going to continue training more foresters in our college, at the Kenya Forest College Londiani, basically to ensure that we have adequate number of trained personnel to support the government agenda of 15 billion trees.
Dr. Solomon Kipkoech of Athlang's Reforestation Foundation has attributed the reforestation efforts to the positive collaboration with the local communities and KFS.
Sisi kama Athlang's tunatarajia kupanda 10% ya hiyo 15 billion. So kwa ufupi tuna malengo ya kupanda 1.5 billion trees by the year 2032.
Let's head to the counties now, where a deputy head teacher at Chemoe Primary School in Bartabo Ward, that is Baringo North, was last night shot dead by suspected bandits. Now, the incident comes just 5 days after bandits killed 5 people in 2 separate attacks in Chemoe and Ngaratuko within Baringo North. According to a statement recorded by the relatives, the deceased left the school premises at 10 p.m. and was on his way home when he encountered armed bandits who shot him in the chest.
Residents of Bartabo Ward want the government to beef up security in the area to stem the wanton killing of innocent civilians. The latest incident brings to 6 the total number of people who have been shot dead in Baringo North within 5 days.
Tuko na watu 7 sasa wako kwa mochari. Watu 7 na si ya ward, ni ya village moja.
I lost my dad, anaitwa Prekum, and then my 2 uncles. Sasa nimekuja tena Baringo nikapata the same problem. So nataka tu niulize Preston, bado hao ni bandits ama ni watu wanawinda watu? Surely mtu mwalimu anashika choka amekuwa na ng'ombe.
Elsewhere, several families spent the night in the cold following a heavy downpour that was experienced in parts of Juja constituency in Kiambu County in the last 2 days. The rains wreaked havoc, exposing poor drainage systems at Ruri village in Murera Ward, where at least 6 families were affected by floods.
Ndio ni kama tunaona tutarara kama atumesimama kwa sababu hatuna la kufanya. Tutafanyaje kama sasa mtu halali kwa kitanda imefurutiwa na maji. Viti vyombo ya kukulia imejaa maji.
Naomba county, serikali, viongozi,
kama wanaweza saidia hii kijiji, sio kwangu peke yangu. Hii kijiji tusaidiwe na drainage.
Finally, the government has been urged to empower grassroots organizations that are actively engaging in environmental conservation activities and supporting the climate change initiative.
We are working on our own, which is not the way it's supposed to be. If it's a government initiative, they should roll it out, and they should, if it's funding or empowerment through the organizations or the CBOs, they should come on ground and check who actually is on the ground and who is doing what, and they should get the support they need.
They are a part of our responsibilities.
The Adopt a Tree movement says while the 15 billion trees target is a noble idea, it ought to be embraced by all Kenyans for it to succeed. Kasi Channel Masha for KBC Channel 1.
We now head to sports, where World Cross Country Championships bronze medalist, that is Agnes Chebet-Ngetich, shattered the 10 kilometers world record with an impressive 28 minutes 46 seconds performance at the Valencia road race. Now, Immaculate Anyango Achol came in second after clocking 28 minutes and 57 seconds, while Lilian Kasait settled for third position. Chebet used this Valencia 10-kilometer race as part of her build-up for the World Cross Country Championships set for Belgrade, Serbia on the 30th of March. Uganda's Jacob Kiplimo won the men's race ahead of Ethiopia's Berhanu Beliu and Peter Moniki, who completed the podium dash. Well, and that story brings us to the end of the news this morning. Thank you so much for taking the time to stay with us. But just an update, remember, KBC is bringing you live proceedings of the AFCON, championship. So last night, Nigeria, Equatorial Guinea, Egypt, Mozambique. That was a draw. Nigeria and Equatorial Guinea 1-1. Egypt versus Mozambique drew at 2-2, while Ghana and Cape Verde, of course, Cape Verde took the day with 2 for Cape Verde and 1 for Ghana. Well, tonight, starting at 5 p.m., we expect Senegal versus Gambia, Cameroon versus Guinea at 8 o'clock, and Algeria, Angola will be at around 11. Burkina Faso and Mauritania definitely tomorrow. So we'll bring you updates of the AFCON. Keep it KBC Channel 1. Once again, thank you so much for taking the time to start your day with us here on Good Morning Kenya. As usual, we still have plenty lined up for you. Mike is on standby together with Victor to just bring you up to speed with what is happening in as far as politics and other issues are concerned. So thank you once again. My name is Maria Yambo. Hope to see you again.
We are welcomed by one retired military veteran, Sergeant Retired Peter Nyaga Njoka in Kirinyaga County.
Welcome.
Njoka was born in 1959 in Kirinyaga County, where he undertook his early education at Kiamirisi Primary School and later on Kiamirisi Secondary School. In 1979, Njoka joined the Kenya Army and trained in Lanet, Nakuru County.
16 February, ndio nilijiunga na kikosi cha Kenya Army. Ilikuwa Lanet, ndio mahali tulitrainia. The same year, mwaka wa 1979, September, nilifuzu katika jeshi.
He also trained in radio communications while in the army and was posted to Isiolo as a radio communication operator.
Nikiwa pale niliweza kufanya kozi ya mawasiliano, communicator, operator wa radio na wa communication ingine ya line communication. Nikuja nikawa posted to Isiolo 78 Tank Battalion. Nikafanya ingine ya inaitwa AFCE education. Ndiyo niweze kuwa eligible kwa kusoma map kwa sababu ya vita.
Njoka later on added more training in intelligence. He is among the soldiers who secured the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation studios when some junior Kenya Air Force officers raided the studios during the 1982 attempted coup.
82 mimi nilikuwa mahali naitwa Rundua. Rundua, that is Rift Valley. Tulikuwa kwa operation Armed Forces exercise. Usiku huo wa fast tukaelekea mpaka Nairobi. Mimi nilikuwa KBC
kutoka
Rundua. Nilikuwa KBC na sisi tulikuwa the first lot ya kuja kutoa wale watu walikuwa wamekatalia kule kwa. Hata ndio wakati wanaenda kulete president wetu Moi nyumbani ndiye kuja atangazie watu ya kwamba bando ako kwa serikali. Tuko hapo kwa KBC. Tunangandi hapo, tunajaribu kutoa watu kwa hapo hostels hizo za Nairobi University.
He also served as part of the United Nations Peace Mission in Sierra Leone in 2001.
Nimewahi kupata nafasi ya kwenda mission UN mission 2001 Sierra Leone. Nilikuwa na Ken Bateit. Wakati huo serikali ya Sierra Leone ilikuwa na shinda tukaenda tukajaribu kutuliza na wakaweza kupata uhuru.
One of his most memorable mission was in 1984 in Kacheliba, where they were ambushed by bandits during a patrol after their vehicle rolled several times.
Tulikuwa upande wa Kacheliba, mali inaitwa Kanyarus. Hiyo nakumbuka tuliweza kuvamiwa tukiwa tuko kwa patrol. Tukapigana na hiyo watu though tulipoteza askari wawili. Tulisurvive na before hapo nakumbuka iko crucial issue ilitokea ambaye imeroll mara kama 3 tukiwa ndani. Na Mungu atatujalia tukatoka na kuendelea na hiyo patrol.
He retired in 2013 after serving 34 years. Since then, he has been tending to his farm and animals. He says initially when he retired, the lifestyle switch to civilian life was a bit challenging to him.
Sasa hapa nilikuja sasa ukapata sasa ile ka ajiro likuwa napata kule kamebadilika, kamekuja kamekatika. Ni lazima sasa usweat. Na ukikosa kufanya kazi utakula. So ilinibidi niingie kwa samba.
He adds that during retirement, he has been part of community service and has served as Old Comrades Association official. He notes the improvements in the Kenya Defence Forces, including equipments, which have made Kenya a force to reckon with a government keen on improving the welfare of soldiers.
Equipment just imeendelea because vile tuliandikwa 1979 hakukuwa na modern equipment kama vile ziko sasa. Hakukuwa na kitu kama hizi drones. Hata bunduki sasa zile zinatumika sasa. Sio kama vile tulikuwa tunatumia G3. Unakuta wako na M6, M8, M16 bunduki modern. Ukistaafu ukienda umesaulika. Lakini tukiweza kukutana, hiyo ni jambo ambalo lilitutia motisha sana na kuona kwamba serikali yetu imeanza kutufikiria.
Njoka says the military taught him values that he holds dear today. His family was and still is his pillar of strength during his service and retirement as well.
Ni kweli niko na bibi na watoto 3. Wa kwanza first born huanga ni taxi driver. Alafu my second born ni askari wa jeshi. So huyu aliamua kukaa kama babake.
In his free time, Njoka enjoys socializing and soccer.
Mimi ni football fan.
Shabiki timu gani? Ama timu zi?
Ni coach. Mimi ni coach.
Wewe ni coach.
Mimi ni coach.
His parting shot for Kenyans is to continue working together to face the challenges the country is currently facing.
Wakenya wenzangu, ningependa kumuomba kweli, ekonomia iko sawa sawa, lakini kupitia kuvumilia mambo yatakuwa sawa sawa.
For Military Tales, I'm Ben Troy Joel.
All right, welcome back. Good morning. Welcome to the program. It's 20 minutes past 7 a.m. Time for us to take a look at what's happening in the world of politics today, being the 15th day of January 2024. Eye on Politics begins right now. But before that, let me take you a quick one on the traffic. Now it's back to school. Let me start with the CBD. Today, things are slightly going to be a bit different in the capital city here of Nairobi. This traffic situation along Thika Road looks like this. Thika Road now extends all the way past KCSE University, almost outer ring. That is what it looks like. It's already a mess along Thika Road, and that comes down all the way to Muthaiga Square, but that also spills over to Kiambu Road past Directorate of Criminal Investigations. That is the situation today. It's back to school, and it was a rainy day here in the city yesterday. I don't know what about which part of the country you are in. How is it? Limuru Road looking like this. City Park headed towards Regal Plaza, down towards Gigiri is also a mess, but you have to be very patient or get an alternative route. Watua Westlands, all the way from Kangemi coming down to Westlands, roundabout here and the shopping center, looking pretty fine. Nothing much to report about. What about Mombasa Road? Mombasa Road looking pretty fine. The only problem starts at around Lusaka as you approach Nyayo National Stadium. That's what it looks like. You see that? It's already bumper to bumper, and this already starts from around Kenya Institute of Mass Communication. As you come from Langata Road to Kosawa. Langata Road, there's nothing much to report about. What about Ngong Road? Ngong Road, yes, here we are. Ngong Road, just before around Ngong Race Course, but this starts at around the Kenya Meteorological Department. It stretches all the ways to that past, it's called Santak? Yes. That's what it looks like. That's along Ngong Road, coming all the way to around Junction Mall. That also extends towards Impala Sports Club. Traffic along this road is a mess. That also spills over to Kingara Road as you come towards Gitanga Road. Today is a mess. Guys, we have to be very much patient. Thank you so much, Nairobi. Let's cross over to Mombasa. Mombasa, good morning. The traffic situation is also replicated just at the New Nyali Bridge. Again, look at it. Already a mess. That's what it's like. And after that, the entire stretch of Nyali Road, Nyali Road actually, yes, looking pretty fine. Nothing to report about here. And when you come towards that side of Likoni Ferry, that is what it looks like. Again, bumper to bumper. Most of the other side of Mombasa Island, that's where the problem is. Mombasa, good morning. Very good. Okay, let's cross over and see what's happening in Kisumu. Kisumu, it looks this way. Not so bad today in Kisumu, not so bad, looking pretty fine. All the way from we got coming down to Kondele roundabout, looking okay. What about, yes, outside heading towards Kisumu International Airport, looks pretty fine. So Kisumu, so far, so good. I wonder what is happening. That is as far as our traffic situation is concerned. Okay. I will come back later on with that discussion. But right about now, let me introduce my guest. I have got David Alolo in studio joining me very shortly. David, talking about traffic situation, how is everything? Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see. We've not met this year.
We've not met this year.
There's no crime to say happy New Year.
It is still too early.
It's still too early, right?
And we thank God for the new year.
Absolutely.
Since I was born, I think I've started seeing very different changes in weather. January with rains. January. Yeah. So it's really wet mornings in January, and we thank God.
Yeah. Somebody was asking, January should tell us whether we go to July, Or remain in January?
Actually, a friend said yesterday, a funny joke, that July has moved to January.
And January has gone.
So January might be going into July.
Yes.
I don't want to be in July if January will go into July.
We'll have to be here. We'll have to be here.
Yeah.
David Alulu is a political analyst and a consultant, at the same time economic analyst, I beg your pardon. I'm joined by Gabriela Lorere, who is a youth leader, UPIA Party. There you have it. There you have it. I have to confess that you look good. Gabriela, good morning.
Thank you. Morning.
My director says that although that crown, is it a crown in Masai? How do you call it?
Ngishili.
Sasa Ongere, you got it right. That's not a crown. That's not a crown.
It's
good morning,
a crown.
Gabriela.
I wanted to hear you say that name. She said it.
What did you say?
Ngishili.
Gishiri?
Yeah.
Yes. Gishiri means what?
Gishili.
It means the shanga.
That's shanga.
Yeah.
So
the crown itself.
Crown, Ongere said that's a crown. Okay, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
They say if the crown fits, wear it. Karibu sana. All right, we'll be taking a look at what is really happening. I'm still waiting for Wakili Mwanza Mbati, who will be joining me shortly, and Mwari Ireri Mwathi, who will be also joining me very shortly. But let me start with the front page of our local dailies. Let me start with the Daily Nation. You have that paper there, but let me just bring it here. Daily Nation, there you have it on the front page of the Daily Nation. This is what it looks like. The front page, schools taken to court over debts. This is what we have on the front page of the Daily Nation. Schools taken to court over debts. It says that suppliers in Nyeri have filed over 10 cases against schools at small claims court. This is what we have. And again, it's just a week after schools reopened. Suppliers have dragged institutions that owe them money to courts, even as principals ask the government to release and remitted billions of shillings under the free day secondary education. This is it. This week is back to school week, and there is a breakdown of the capitation to schools in between 2018 and 2023. Again, a breakdown. I wish I could go through these figures, but you can take a look at your local dailies and see what's there. In 2020, 2028, 2029, the approved budget for 59 billion shillings, and learners were getting 142, not funded, that is 142,000, etc., etc. So you have to take a look. And that is 2018, 2019, 59 billion. 2019, 2020, 59 again billion. 2020, 2021, 59 billion. In 2021, 2022, the approved budget was at 62 billion shillings, and 2022, 2023 stands at 64 billion shillings. So this is what it is. This is what we have to take a look at. Alulu, what do you make of this? Schools taken to court over debts. The issue of capitation is still here with us. What do you make of this headline?
I think it is a shame that at this particular time we would have such a cases of schools being taken to court, because the government should do much better. I once said it is very important and necessary for the government to invest and to take education seriously, because education is the backbone of any economy, any country. So I think the government and by extension through the Ministry of Education should up their game. One, to try and we thank them for releasing the capitation for this year earlier. But this is just a drop in the ocean, because you realize that many schools, especially last year, had problems getting the money, and what schools get is really so minimum. I actually feel for the principals and the school heads, because they have to use the minimum they get to facilitate the schools, and this will always land us in trouble. So I think going forward, the government should try and up their game to ensure that, one, they increase the capitation and then release it on time, so that we don't find ourselves in situations where instead of principals concentrating on education, they start thinking of the creditors, which becomes now bad news, according to my own thinking.
All right, Gabriela, front page.
I think the government should up their game. Because you see, education should be a priority in Kenya. His Excellency William Ruto should stop concentrating with other things and put basic need as the priority. I think the government is failing Kenya.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, schools are now demanding a capitation. Even as Form 1s are reporting this week, we are still going to take a look at that. In the political scene, Raila asked churches to keep state in check. The church needs to speak out against the least ills and this government, including the heavy taxation it has burdened Kenyans with, says Azimio leader Raila Odinga. That story is fleshed out there for you on page 4 of the Daily Nation. We'll take a look at that later on. How about we go to the front page of the People Daily? There you have it. Again, matters education. Books crisis after subject change. Book crisis after subject change. There we have it. The story is there on page, on the front page. Reduction of number of subjects and lessons in primary and junior secondary schools have now leaves confusion among learners and teachers, with latter being forced to teach subjects they never studied. Teachers are now forced to teach lessons that they never studied. Here we have it. Again, matters to do with education. We've just touched on that. But very quickly, something that we are going to discuss related to that. Gachagua now goes for top judge. Deputy President declares that he will petition for the removal of a justice who froze his accounts in unprecedented escalation of war with the judiciary. This is where we have it. That story continues on page 3. Let me go there on page 3 and see. There we have it. Gachagua trains guns on Judge Esther Maina. Deputy President, yesterday Gachagua said that he will present a petition to the Judicial Service Commission for the removal of Justice Esther Maina of the Anti-Corruption Court over alleged misconduct and corruption. Speaking in Elgeyo Marakwet on Sunday, Gachagua said that he will adhere to Justice Martha Koome's advice and seek the removal of Justice Maina. So, according to Gachagua, the MP for Madeira, the then MP for Maina, said that Justice Maina declared his fortune proceeds of crime. Okay, let me take that. Gachagua, then the MP for Madeira, said that Justice Maina declared his fortune proceeds of crime without giving him a hearing as dictated by the rule of law. And let me quote, the ruling by the judge was meant to taint image. It was a political decision whereby the judge was working under the instructions of those in power then, and continues on and on and on and on and on. So on Thursday, this coming Thursday week at 2:15 p.m., according to the DP, I will personally present a petition before Lady Justice Martha Koome against Justice Esther Maina for her removal from the judiciary for misconduct and corruption. End of statement. This is going to be forming part of a discussion today. All right. So, yeah, there we have it. Anti-fraud agency wants officer sacked for forgery. Kimemana watu. Kimemana. It's not easy. Ireri Mwathi, good morning.
Morning.
Front page of the People Daily. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Go ahead. What do you make of this crisis? Book crisis after subject change. Good morning once again.
Thank you. I think it's true that after the new curriculum, there has been a problem.
Yes.
We know even other than the books, last year we had our grade 7 which didn't have enough teachers. There should be books in schools to assist the teachers, the students. Without those books, we expect half-baked pupils to transit to their next levels. So I think it's an issue that the government should address urgently, actually, because we can't joke with the education. Yeah.
All right, very well. What about the front page of the Standard newspaper? Where is that Standard? Okay, here we have it. All right. Yeah. So on the front page of the Standard newspaper, pressure mounts as schools admit 1.4 million shillings, 1.4 million from ones. That is on the front page. Pressure mounts as schools admit 1.4 million from ones. Again, matters education. Whereas parents are protesting the high cost of taking their children to secondary schools, teachers are burning their midnight oil, wondering how they will accommodate the learners in institutions whose facilities are already bursting at the seams and with little funding. Again, education, education, education. Almost all the papers are talking about education today. We've talked about that. Raila rails at church leaders for going to bed with government. Again, that's what he has. We all know this. David, did you carry this metal box to high school, or you are the rich kid?
No, I went to a day school, so I didn't buy
a suitcase in.
I didn't carry that. I know Loretta did, but I didn't.
You did?
I went to a day school. I went to a day school.
Oh, so you don't have an experience?
So I don't have experience with
There's something called a butterfly. There's something called a butterfly. When you go to high school and then you have something valuable in this box, one of these corners would be flanked open. That's called a butterfly. So one of the terrorists would just fix his hand inside there and grab whatever he wants. So it's called a butterfly.
Did you say terrorist?
Yes, we call it terrorists in high school. Okay. Yes, we all have experience. Really, one thing you have an experience with this metal box.
Oh yes, yes.
And they are so noisy.
The worst was the one which had a padlock at the middle.
Right. Yes.
One actually. I think that's why they came up with the two.
With the two.
Because what you are saying is they would.
So that you can
this side and the other
to
side.
stop terrorists from butterfly
took
here.
advantage of the one at the center.
It was so easy to open. You just press here in the middle and then you lift this other side. You take the sugar and for Gabriela, lotions would go, etc. You'd imagine that. You haven't experienced this metal box as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's about matters going back to school. I don't know how it's going to be moving forward. For parents, the issue of capitation is still here with us. Let me start with you, David. What do you make of from once now? 1.4 million change of curriculum. Teachers now saying that they are not, some of them are not teaching subjects they didn't learn.
Yeah, again, I would say it like I did before. It is unfortunate that the government seems not to be very clear on how to address the matters education, because one, we have the publishers who had published books for the ordinary subjects that are used to, and then the change of curriculum confuses everybody and things start working in a different way. So I think when we are going to find ourselves in such a situation like this, there should be a prior conversation and then prepare people at least a year before we get to the implementation of a new strategy or plan or even curriculum. So I feel the government has disappointed to some extent when it comes to the reality of making sure you put the learners into consideration. Because after all, you have to know that the major stakeholder in this is a learner. And when you destabilize their mind at the start of it, then you are confusing the whole process. But equally, I think we should also move as a country, and especially now the publishers, we should move from a situation where we want to live in the old days. We should be current, in the current sphere. We should work into the present, knowing that things keep on changing. With the current technology and everything that is moving on, you would wake up tomorrow and realize that things have totally changed and things are working in a different way. So much as we want government to put things in order and work, have a prior communication to alert and prepare everybody, but then especially the publishers should always have their hands on deck to make sure that things are working. But issue of capitation, I think this is what hurts the most, because now the schools are going to bring in, is it 1.4 million Form 1 learners. And you realize that without better capitation, we are now going to have meetings with schools who are going to tell us you have to, apart from the school fees, parents now have to bring in more money to build dormitories, to build dining halls and so many other things. So you realize, apart from the school fees that parents are going to pay, there is also other bills that are going to come up, because schools are now struggling in between to try and meet the needs and still survive. Now, meeting the needs, you realize that much as the government has given the capitation, it is not enough. And so the schools must keep on moving. I am a parent, and I sometimes back I had a conversation with a teacher who told me, much as we would want to keep all the children in school, but we have majority of them who haven't paid, and we have to sustain them in school. They need food, they need everything that any child would want. So at this particular point, I think the government should come up with a clear policy on how to support schools, especially when the transition comes and we have the taking in of the new learners, like now the Form 1s. We should have a better plan, knowing that when these children come into school, the government has facilitated their intake so that schools will not struggle so much, and we don't find ourselves in a situation where parents have to pay an extra for this survival of children in schools. My thinking.
Gabriela, it's all about parents right now and government. It's now head to head. They have no option. They have to go to school either way. But then now, we would imagine parents are going to feel the weight rather, because we don't have the capitation from government yet. It's not probably reflecting in schools' accounts. So parents are facing the wrath right now.
I think first, the government is failing Kenyans because when you fail to plan well, you are preparing to fail.
Yes.
Because first, there is no money. No money circulating. The parents are getting it hard. They have changed book. You have to buy new book. You have to take your children to school. You have to eat. Now tell me, if the KK government should plan it well, I think the government can start focusing more on education and stop taking things lightly.
Yes.
And the Ministry of Education should now have a clear plan on what they want to achieve at the end of the day. Because pressuring parents financially will end up diluting the value of education.
Exactly.
Because if you, I'm speaking about, imagine a student in Baragoi who cannot access good education at IMAC and cannot go to good school, end up going to a day school. Tell me, the value of education is being diluted because of poor planning from the government side. KK government should up their game.
As a teacher, you have education background. You'd imagine the kind of pressure even universities and tertiary education, it's now going to face the TVETs across the country. Just the other day, KCSE results were released, and now a majority of students did not get the university cut-off point. Again, parents to school, 1.4 million. Teachers are saying that some of them do not have even the requisite, qualification. They don't have books. They don't have enough infrastructure. But either way, we have to go to school. You ready?
Yeah, actually that is true. The education system, just from the ECD all the way to the university, they are actually overstressed in a manner that, like in secondary schools where we have 100% transition, and remember there's a crisis because we don't have any class 8 behind. So those who are going to Form 1s now, we do not, even the issue of repeating and all that, it's not there now in class 8. So at least everybody has to go to there, up to high school. What does this mean? So many people, so many students scrabbling for limited space in Form 1. And the infrastructure is still the same. Teachers are still the same. Look at it, even this capitation we are saying is not actually enough. When was it last reviewed? It was reviewed many years ago. What we were getting some years ago, after the inflation, after the cost of living has gone up, is still what is being pegged per student. So you find, even if it's there, it's not even enough. This means the board of management, the teachers, the principals will be struggling all through. That means students may not get maximum of what they are supposed to get. What does this mean? There are people or there are students who will get grades which were not meant to, because they have not given. The education system should be able to provide each and every student to achieve the full potential of what he is supposed to. We are not saying every student should get an A or a B, but if you are A material, you should be able to have a good learning environment in the institution so that you come out of that school with that A. If you are C material, you should be able to get good learning environment to come out of that institution with that C that you are you are capable of getting. But when there is no the money is not coming in time, when there is strain in the infrastructure, we know of schools who are even making makeshift classes. We know of schools which are converting halls into dormitories. I'm a chair of a certain school somewhere, and I can tell you the kind of struggle my principal and my board is going through is hectic. So it's the high time we get out of these problems, especially now there's also a change of the curricula. We should, the government should focus or lay focus in this area so that we don't waste individuals who are supposed to be building our nation in a few years time.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Guys, EPRA says that the price of fuel is down. Are we happy now? Makofi?
Yes, Makofi. Echo to the government.
Yes.
I think the government is doing it well. And I know Larare will have issues with that.
Yes. But let me just give a full page of that. That is EPRA. That's the notice. It took effect last night, midnight. So this is the monthly review of the price of that precious commodity, fuel. So maximum retail price in Nairobi is going to super petrol is going to go for 207.36. That is 207 shillings and 36 cents. Diesel 196 and 47 cents, and kerosene is going to be 194 shillings and 23 cents. Mombasa, they're getting it the easiest, the cheapest, 204 shillings and 30 cents. That. No wonder we have this in Nairobi today. Could it be that's why we have a lot of traffic in the CBD? I think so. Look at the traffic in Nairobi today. It's that bad. You guys take a look. It's already almost 8 and we have this. Most major roads are all red. It's never been used to be like this. So Jogo Road, Thika Road, unaona imeenda mpaka huko Ireri.
Yeah.
Do we have traffic in the other side of the country? I don't know. Because of that effect of petrol. So month review of the fuel. Lulu, you must be happy about this.
Yes, I am. You know,
why?
For the longest time, most of us had parked our cars. The fuel was really hitting us hard. And I can tell you, many Kenyans are smiling. And I'm happy, like I was saying, I'm happy that the government kept to its promise. It said they are going to make sure this comes below 200.
Yes.
And I think we are doing well. Last month, we had a drop. This month there is, I'm optimistic there will be another drop until we get below 200 because you see the price of fuel affects almost everything. And you know, I went somewhere to buy some groceries and somebody told me mafuta imepanda. So I asked them, do you need fuel to grow groceries? And I'm like, no, this is just because we have to transport and then you hike the price in transporting. And so I think it's a good thing. For economy to move, we depend so much on this commodity, and government doing whatever they are doing to bring a drop in the price. I think it's a plus. So, makofi kwa serikali.
Gabriela is not amused.
Yeah, she isn't.
Piggy makofi. Gabriela, what do you make of this?
I'm happy. At least for one, KK government is doing something.
Okay.
And I've seen it just for 1 month.
Okay.
I don't know what of February.
No, this is second month, girl.
They have just made it for 30 days.
Yeah.
Or am I saying my own thing.
Yeah.
It's for 1 month only. I don't know if they will change their mind, but a good job to the government.
Yeah.
Yeah, for one.
Victor, I was helping Gabi to understand that we had a drop last month and there has also been this one. So there is a likelihood of the next month drop. Be optimistic. The government is working. It's really doing a good job.
At least we want to see it going to 150.
Is it Meru or Embu?
Embu.
There is, Embu. Embu is 208. 208 shillings.
Embu is not very far from Nairobi.
Yes.
The drop is welcome, but Kenyans are still not forgetting how much it had increased. So we just ask, what is causing this?
Yeah.
Is it something sustainable? Are we going to see it going the same direction? Or it's a case of drop and then it surges up again?
Yeah.
So I think it's a drop, but Kenyans still want more of that, noting that fuel is a factor of production in almost every sector. Talk of agriculture, talk of manufacturing, talk of transport, everything.
Yeah.
So in so doing, government should be very sensitive, or fuel is very sensitive to the well-being and the growth of the nation. So it is an area that we should, or the government should focus on to ensure that this drop is not just a temporary issue.
Yeah.
To ensure that it keeps dropping, and I think it should go below 200.
Yes.
As per the traffic in the city today, I think it's an issue of the restoring and all that.
There we go. I mean, Alulu said, ametoa ile nini yake leo.
My friend, I'm telling you. But you see, Victor, I would love to say this.
Yes.
You know, Kenya is a country where we are good. We like complaining, but not appreciating the little efforts. Last month, the government issued a statement on the trajectories that contribute to the hiking and the dropping of price in this. It is not dependent on the government. It is dependent on the global market. Kenya is not oil producing. So for that reason, I would want to urge Ireri here to understand that should it happen that the price is not dropping as Kenyans would expect, we should understand that after all, Kenya is doing this following what is happening in the global markets, but give credit where it is due. Even 1 shilling, it is a plus.
Very good.
Yes.
Okay, guys, let's cross over now and talk about something else. Let's cross over to this is what it looks like on the front page of the BBC. Trump, Haley, and DeSantis make final pitches in frozen Iowa. The former president eyes a big victory in Monday's caucuses as he bids for a rematch with Joe Biden. There is something he said that in Iowa is freezing cold. But Trump said that even if you go and vote and then die, it's still worth it. That's what he said. It's still worth it. So this is what it is. It's election year in the U.S. and Trump, oops, all right, my bad. Trump and yes, there you have it. Okay, so Iowa caucuses, Republican rivals make last-ditch bids to cut Trump's lead. That is what's here on the front page of the BBC. Donald Trump and his Republican rivals are making last-ditch pitches to win support in Iowa hours before voters in these states will kick off the 2024 race for the White House. Okay, what about France 24? Again, France 24, again, something different. Post-war Gaza, the Palestinian Authority is not in a position to govern in Gaza. That is on the front page of France 24. Okay, this network is working on me today. It's behaving. Okay, so we'll continue that. We'll come back later on as talk about and when we get that. So guys, let's talk about what matters here in the country. Politics here, law there. The rage between the judiciary and the executive still rages on. So let's take a look at that. Let me start with you, Gabriela. What do you make of the deputy president's assertion that he will file a petition against a judge on Thursday to remove Justice Maina?
I think
this is relations to what has been happening between the judiciary and the executive. Where do we cut the line?
I think the KK government are doing double standard. The judiciary cannot be good during election, during the results of their election, but they are now judging the judiciary. When they win, the judiciary is respected. But now, when it's going against them, the judiciary is bad. I think the KK government should be clear and stop double standard, led by President William Ruto. You cannot attack the same judiciary that approved you won the election. But now you want to say the judiciary is being paid, is being bribed. No, Ruto should come clear and face the judiciary with clean hands and respect the law. Yeah, and Gachagua, that is too low of him. You cannot stay at you're going for a judge because he was manipulated by the former government. No, that's not the way to go in this country.
Okay.
You cannot micromanage the whole judiciary to fit your own thinking. Yeah, thank you.
All right, you're ready.
Thank you. This is a very sensitive issue which actually we should look at in a broader perspective. Number one, the deputy president should not talk ill of a judge just because in respect to his own case. At worst, he would have gone for another case, because I am sure there are so many judges who have made so many rulings. But if you talk about your own case, that means it's like you are defending yourself. It's like you are being too personal. That one I don't think it's a good thing. And in any case, it would have been better if it doesn't come public. We would have seen it not from him. But worst of all, Kenya has three arms of government: the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature. Are these institutions, or do they have corruptions in them? The big answer is yes. Is going public in public meetings, public rallies, the best way of solving this? The answer is no. Why? It will bring both local and international outcomes, which may not be palatable or good for our country. Look at when the president himself informs the whole world that our judiciary is corrupt. What does that mean? Or our judiciary, we cannot trust our judiciary. What does that mean? Anybody in the countries where the executive has gone loud, wooing people to come and invest here, what do investors expect from day one once they land? Even before they land, before they even leave their own countries, what do they start with? They start with contracts. We have an agreement, we have a contract that we have made with Kenya, with this and this institution, or with this and this organization in Kenya. When now this international community sees that the Kenyan judiciary is corrupt, it would mean that these people do not trust the judicial system in Kenya. So they will find it that in case of anything, they will not have anywhere to run to. So this can water or what the gains that maybe the president or the executive has done trying to bring people here. Number two, even still in the international world, judiciary, there's so much that comes into it through the international community in terms of donations, in terms of grants, in terms of loans. Why now the very person who is the custodian of the instruments of power is the one saying that our judiciary is corrupt? What does that mean? That means is somebody who was willing to fund judiciary in one way or another, but he was saying, hey, just hold. These people are not good. So it is not creating good image of us in the international community, especially when it comes from the number one in the republic. I think, but we are not saying the judiciary is not corrupt. That's a story of another day. But what we are saying is we have better ways of solving this. I'm sure the president of the country can call the president of the judiciary, or anybody in the judiciary can call him within minutes. They're there, and then discuss the things behind the curtains and see a way of solving these problems locally. If the president does not have the confidence in the judiciary, how about me and you, who do not have anywhere to complain? That means now we are all in fear that the judiciary that we trust as a problem. I'm sure there's a better way of solving problems in the judiciary if there are problems there.
But you say where there is smoke, there is fire. Nobody is saying that there is no corruption in judiciary, just as there is a corruption in the executive. There is also corruption in the executive. Because the executive starts with the president, the deputy, the cabinet secretaries, all through to the cleaner who cleans in an office, in a ministry office somewhere. That system, there must be some rotten potatoes somewhere. There is a good way of removing them, not going on top. Because going to a public rallies and speaking of corrupt judiciary would mean you are solving this problem in a political way, which is not the case, which should not be the case. What are the repercussions of this? Locally here, we have seen lawyers going on strike. Who suffers when there are unrest in the country? Number one, the person who suffers being the vastest is the government of the day. Because the government of the day should provide good environment for operation. When there is unrest in a certain street in the republic, there are people who will not open their shops there. There will be traffic jam. Somebody will be stuck in the jam who should be working and building the nation in a better way. There will be the focus of lawyers in Kenya are striking as a result of the speech of the president. This will go international. So there are so many problems in this kind of judicial acts, which I think we should get a better way of. Gentlemen and lady, we all know what Article 159 talks about: the judiciary, independence of judiciary, and the judiciary and the executive. According to Article 159, we all know judicial authority is derived from people and vested in and shall be exercised by the courts and tribunals established by or under this constitution. David Alulu, you are aware of this?
Yes.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we are going to be discussing more on matters judiciary, politics here, law there. Stay with us.
Get ready for a captivating continental football extravaganza. KBC Channel 1 brings you exclusive coverage of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations. From Saturday 13th January to Sunday 11th February 2024, Cote d'Ivoire is the battleground for 24 teams fighting to lift the prestigious trophy. Who will be crowned kings of African football? Watch all the action and revel only on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
All right, welcome back. David Alulu says that things are going to be bananas. Okay, so on the front page of the People Daily, this is what it is, and this is what I'm talking about in reference to judicial authority and independence. Gachagua now goes for top judge. Gachagua now goes for top judge. Deputy President declares that he will petition the removal of a justice who froze his accounts in a precedented escalation of war with the judiciary. Alulu, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. This is a good one. This is a good one. I want to disagree with Ireri on the case of DP presenting petition against the judge who participated in his case. You know, my question would be, if I can't present my own evidence, whose evidence should I present? Because the watertight evidence is the one that I am familiar with, I am fully aware. So I think it's a good move, because the judiciary, through the CJ herself, said if you have any evidence of corruption against any member of judiciary, any judge, present it. And now the DP has come out clear and said, yes, I have evidence. He went ahead and said, if there is any other Kenyan with any other different evidence, bring it on. Let's present it so that it shall be known that there is a problem in our judiciary. I don't want to agree that simply because judiciary approved the victory of President William Ruto, we should now clap for them even if they're in a mess. You know, a good brother is one who tells you you are not doing well when you are not doing well. Not just clapping for you simply because you are a brother. So I think it's about time we agree that judiciary is good, but inside judiciary we have some rogue judges and some rogue judicial officers. And this should be pulled out. And by the president coming out clear to say, I am going to fight corruption in the judiciary, I think it should be echoed by all Kenyans. Actually, international community will be celebrating right now, saying if the head of state has come out clear to state that there is a problem in the judiciary and he's doing something about it, then it is a plus.
So
for
who
Kenya.
will make noise to the or against the executive?
I think everybody,
because the executive is now blaming the judiciary. So who will now champion that onslaught against the executive?
And we have had the opposition. Azimio are doing a good job. I've been seeing Baba all over saying there is this rotten government and this. You see, that is why we have all this. And that's why the president said we need a very stable official opposition in this country. So that when the executive is going rogue, when corruption is at mess in this country, somebody will speak about it. And since we know very well, government cannot condemn itself when it comes to matters of corruption. We are sure Azimio will make loudest noise. But in the judiciary, since we have a problem in the judiciary, and the executive has noticed, and you see, you only get to know that it is painful when it pinches you. And the government feels the pinch because the judiciary is waking up every single day to stop the projects that are supposed to pull the agenda of the government forward.
Why now? Why now? That's the big question.
Why now? Because there is something that the government must achieve.
Go ahead. Why now?
You know, Ruto succeeded in silencing the parliament. The 13th parliament is very weak. They can't say anything, and they just play the government music. Ruto wants to weaken the judiciary. That's why he's coming up with so many accusations because of few things like affordable housing and many others. You know, when you want to do your own thing, you cannot go ahead and silence the whole institution. The EFCC is not working totally. It's just dancing according to government tunes. Now the parliament. Now Ruto wants to go again ahead to silence the judiciary. Then where is the rule of law? Where is the democracy in Kenya? If you can silence the EFCC, you go ahead silence the parliament, then again the judiciary. And I think this is all about politics. Because I saw yesterday Alice Waume, the CS of water, speaking about Kalonzo is the one behind. Kalonzo and the Wamalwa is behind this demonstration of lawyers. I think this is politics, KK government politics. If they can't deliver to the people, they should stop all this and weakening every institution, because they have weakened the opposition. See, they bought some MPs, the UDM.
Did they weaken the opposition?
Yeah, yes, because at Nimeo La Umoja, we had Jubilee. They kidnapped our people from Jubilee. They kidnapped UDM. And now even the independent candidates, they dance according to Ruto.
Did you just say kidnap?
Yes, they kidnapped them because, because the party leader of Jubilee is not aware. He's not aware. But all MPs, they are in KK
is aware. Sabina Chege is the party.
Sabina Chege is not the party. We all know Uhuru Kenyatta is the party leader of Jubilee.
I still want to inform my friend that the Kenya Judiciary is one of the most respected in our region. We should not pose it like a tennis ball where you spread on this side, on that side. By this I mean there was a time the executive was very comfortable when the opposition was just complaining when there were corruption cases, when they were all being thrown away.
Yes.
The opposition was saying, look at it, you are doing this because you people are in bed with the executive. And we saw all those. And even the common one, if you go on the street, you tell you, this and this case, we should have seen it to the very head. That time, the executive was okay with the judiciary. Just like my sister is saying, go back even to 2017 when the judiciary ruled against the election that time. Some celebrated, others did not. Now, this issue of the executive now saying the judiciary is corrupt, the opposition on the other side. So it is like we should ensure that judiciary is independent. And in case of anything, there is a whole Judicial Service Commission, enshrined in our Constitution, in Article 171. There is a Judicial Commission to deal with such cases. What I'm saying is, these issues, whether there is corruption or not, they should not be dealt with in public rallies. That is making the judicial problems political, which is not. Let us deal with the politics in political rallies.
But
Problems
Kenya
of corruption
is a political
because
country.
at the end of the day, what do you get? What do you gain once you from the political accusing it in the political rallies? That means you are informing. There is nothing that the political rallies can. There is no problem that the political rallies can solve. The problem can only be solved in a structured way, well outlined way. Of how a judicial problem should be.
But
the
deputy president has a case, right?
Yes. The deputy president has a case, yes. But there are times when you know when to fight,
right,
and how to fight. Look at it this way. You are a father, because the deputy president is number 2 in the executive. And once there is an opening, you are saying, I'm the first to bring my case. You'd have at least let the lower, if at all, it didn't go that way. Number one, it would not have been in the political rallies. We would have seen it in the papers that, or anywhere else, that the executive has instructed this and this case. They are also, it's not only personal cases, they are also state cases. Maybe you would have gone for such a case.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean his case is the very vast on top. That means you are a father, but if a chance comes, you are the first to grab that chance. That's not a good father.
Who vexed the executive? Who rattled the executive? Because this war has been going on for a very long time.
Before I answer that, I want to remind my colleagues here that just recently, Said Chitembwe, all right, was recommended to be removed because of corruption-related charges after Mike Sonko petitioned and provided evidence. I want to assure you that I want actually to tell you, everybody, including President himself, has the right to complain against any judicial officer or any other person in this country who has corrupt-related cases on their neck. Gabi said EACC is not working, but we just saw Najib Balala in court the other day. It will tell you that EACC is really working hard to make sure the corrupt fellows are arrested. But now, who checks the government? One, I don't want to agree with Gabi that all the opposition MPs have been taken.
Not all.
Borrowing.
I've said Jubilee and the UDM.
Have been kidnapped. We still have opposition leaders who are vocal in the parliament. They are speaking vocally and they have spoken about the ills in government. So I still believe parliament, even though minority side might not have all the numbers.
That is exactly
required.
what Gabi was talking about.
So even though they might not have the required
that is her point.
Numbers,
yes.
But you don't need to have numbers for you to speak out. You can speak out individually and your case shall hold ground. Like Rigathi Gachagua is doing right now. He's leading the front. The CJ said, bring the evidence, and they say, here it is. Let's go. So come, baby, come. Let's take this thing on. Everybody should present their evidence, and then we shall have the commission of inquiry put in place. If judges are found to be guilty of these cases, they'll go home. If they are not, they'll be vindicated, and the country moves on.
I ask you a question. Why now? Timing.
Now, because the government has been rattled. And if the government has, I remember the saying of the former minister, late John Michuki. He said, you don't rattle a snake's tail and expect not to be beaten. If you rattle a snake's tail, it shall bite you. And at this particular time,
how was executive rattled?
It was rattled by the judiciary suspending the programs that the government wants to implement, which is
very good.
Yes.
Very good. So it has nothing to do with what the DP is saying here. It has nothing to do with that.
It has everything to do with that. You know, the government said that there are corrupt officials in the judiciary who are making the government policies impossible to implement.
Okay, Gabi.
And then the CJ said,
go ahead.
Bring on the evidence. And now evidence is coming out. DP is coming out with his own evidence.
You're out of order. Gabriel, go ahead. Gabriel.
I think this is all politics. The KK government is playing politics. You see, he made the Aurora and Kimwarer case to be dropped.
Yes.
Everything that is concerning KK people.
Who made it drop?
It's your brightness. Who doesn't know?
All right, continue. Right.
Anything to do with allies of KK government, now they're as white as. But anything to do with the former government, which Ruto was the vice president, now they're being accused of being corrupt, they're being accused of everything bad on this earth. I think Ruto should start implementing his manifesto by delivering to the people and stop all this politicking. He blackmailed the people during campaign, so he should.
I think there's something you should be very aware of.
Yes.
My friend here should not put it like that the judiciary is supporting the government policies. No. What the judiciary said, it didn't say that the housing program was wrong. It emphasized on the procedures. And in law, I'm not a lawyer, but everything that is the government is doing should follow the due procedure. They are laid down procedures of implementing policies. So you mess up with that, then there will be, even in 2017, when the election was nullified, the judiciary did not say that this had more votes than the other. It said the process had been. So the same case. So the government, actually this should put the government on toes in ensuring that whatever process, whatever activity that they undertake has followed the due process and that has followed the law to the letter. Because they have all the machineries. They have a whole legal team to advise them, or rather to see that the process or the implementation of their policies are
the due process, for the law. You cannot, just because something is good, you can't just jump on it and implement it without first of all, looking at what does the law say about this, what is the right procedure, and above all, it may be beneficial to the public, but it has to follow the due process. So that is what actually most of these things that the judiciary is faulting the process.
Okay.
But then the executive as a whole machinery of ensuring that they are followed. Once the process is not right, there should be an eye opener to the government. It should be putting government on toes, ensuring that whatever we do has followed there. And the president, when he was being interviewed the other day, actually it was after the ruling of the housing, he admitted that there is something that the judiciary saw was wrong, and they had to correct. They said they were only targeting the salary.
Yes.
Right? So they said they should look at it that it will capture even a wide scope to include even those who are in business and others. And the president himself admitted that. And he said they were willing to go and do that. So what does it mean? It means the executive should see some positive issue in the judiciary, because it is guiding them.
Okay.
Because this thing you may do away with it today, but it may be faulted when it is at a later stage.
I have to ask you this question to all of you.
Yes.
What is the end game?
Yeah.
Starting with you, Irene, now that your mic is on. What is the end game?
Actually, at the end of the day, the government of the day will. The loser here is the government of the day.
Hold it
this
there.
Continues.
Hold it there.
Yeah.
Aluri is not happy about that.
I'm not. There is something he said I wanted to really interject. The judiciary, the court says, conducts more public participation in this. The government says we agree there was a problem and we are willing to fix it. The parliament schedules public participation. The same court again says, no, you can't conduct the public participation. If that is not sabotage, what do you call that? So to me, I would want us to agree that there is a problem somewhere. And the government has not said the judiciary is bad. Let's make it clear. And let's not narrow it down to housing. There is a lot of things that the government wants to do, and there are a lot of things that the judiciary has spoken on. But on this one, let's agree, the judiciary is good, but it is not as clean as a wool. It's not as clean as cotton wool. We should agree that there is a problem in the judiciary, and that problem is what is being fixed, and we have to fix it. Sooner or later, we have to fix it. Whichever way, we have to fix it.
Are there laid down procedures for fixing problems in the judiciary?
But you see, for you to know that a thief is breaking a door, somebody must scream. And that scream is what is happening in the public life. We scream and then we approach it.
Somebody who has the whole machineries of solving problems. In the Judicial Service Commission, they are representatives of the executive. In that, why are they representatives of the president of the executive in the Judicial Service Commission?
Okay.
That was the vast area to focus on. You should be telling us we tried this and failed. We tried all available mechanisms and failed.
I ask a question. Gabriel, what is the end game?
Let's accept the fact that government wants to weaken the judiciary in order to do their own thing.
But will it?
Simple and clear.
Will it?
It will not. The son of Ataker is there. Okay, Umtata. He will deal with them.
I'm trying to understand that, because at the end of the day, the government will have to file a petition. The DP will file a petition on Thursday at 2:15 p.m., the way he said. But I'm trying to look at the procedure, the process of listening to these cases. Justice Chitembo's case took pretty long time. Okay. So my question is, what is the end game?
I want to answer that question.
Go ahead.
The end game, when all is said and done, there must be some sort of consensus. And this consensus will come by, one, judiciary admitting, yes, we know there is a problem, and yeah, you have presented your evidence. Now let's follow the laid down procedures by doing what is necessary. You have mentioned David Alulu has an issue. Let's have David Alulu investigated, because gone are days when we would say so and so is bad, remove them, and they are removed. So the end game is that we shall have a consensus, but I agree with everybody that is shouting in the public rallies, because everybody must know there is a problem.
Okay.
And if you don't speak about it, nobody will know. We are in a country where if you do things in silence, people will come and say, no, these ones are attacking me because of this and that. Then let's speak out loud so that everybody shall know this is going on and we have to fix it.
Even those who are not supposed to politic are now politicking, like Alice Wahome.
We had Eugene Wamala of politicking during the last era. So them politicking is not a problem.
Without mentioning names, why then do we have procedures of solving problems? This is like washing dirty linen in public. It is like telling the whole world that our judiciary is corrupt. Okay. It's like telling the whole world, don't trust our judiciary.
Why is it that anytime we make noise when it's convenient to us? Judiciary has always been that soft punching bag anytime there's a problem. And I really want to get it from you, Gabriel. Why do you think that judiciary is always the soft punching bag? Whenever there's a problem, judiciary. But you'll never hear the judiciary attack parliament or the other arm of government.
But they did last time.
Because they want to weaken the judiciary.
Not in this way the political class is doing. Gabriel, go ahead.
Because they want to weaken the judiciary to dance to their game. Well, it's only the judiciary which is not weakened right now by KK government. But they want to succeed it by weakening and removing some tough judges there. So the end game will be, we will have a judiciary that is just accepting anything the government is paying without any fairness and any following.
Answering it in another way, sir.
That is not true.
Judiciary, I'm answering what you have asked. Politicians or the executive, you'll see it in the political rallies. But you'll not see a judge of a Supreme Court, of a High Court, or any judge in political rallies. It is like taking a case of tortoise to be adjudicated on top of trees. They will not climb trees. So at the end of the day, or taking a case of fish and to be administered inside the lake, the fish will take the day because they are good in water. So when you take the war of judiciary in political rallies, judges will not go to political rallies. Have you seen Madakome or Maraga or anybody going to political rallies and make this kind of noise? So you are taking the case of judiciary to area and familiar territories, territories where they are not even supposed to go. Because if you see a judge in taking a mic in political rallies and debating himself, that we would all go against him. You are not supposed to do this. Madakomi, you are not supposed to do this in political rallies. But now that is the same place where you are accusing her. What do you expect her to do?
Yes.
As you not debate herself there. The laid down procedure where the judges can come, the executive can come, any arbitrators can come, is maybe from the Judicial Service Commission.
Allow me to play devil's advocate.
Yes.
So what if the government loses?
What if the government?
Lulu. So what will happen?
You know, in every match, I am an Arsenal fan, and one of the things I've learned is even though victory is sweet, but when you lose, concede, accept, and move on. So if the government loses, knowing President Ruto, he will concede and move on. And the chapter continues, we open the next chapter. So there is no, like, we are going to keep fighting forever. For at the end of it all, there must be consensus. And once that has been done...
Then why don't you have that consensus right now?
That's what
before a case goes before a judge, and if anything goes the other way around, you know,
systematically,
why don't you have that consensus
systematically,
right now?
What is supposed to happen there is supposed to be a mutual way of communicating between the judiciary and the executive and even the legislature. But now, I think for some reason, Kenya is a political state. And for some reason, we have to play politics. And by politics is speaking. You are not a politician who just go to sleep and wake up and say things have happened. So what is happening right now is a political process. After political process has been done, we shall go ahead and have a consensus.
Gabriel, what if government loses? I'm just trying to imagine. All right. Go ahead.
And I wish they lose so that we can see how this Kenya will turn to. Because the country is turning into dictatorship kind of leadership. You cannot silence everywhere in order to achieve your own goals. When the government if the government loses, it will be the best thing in this country. Yes, and I will celebrate it.
It also depends on what you mean by losing. Because the government can succeed in removing Judge ABCD from office. That is not winning. What are the impacts, the implications of that? And that's why I said from the beginning that the government might be the loser in this. I didn't say that the government will not, the judge will not be able to go out of office, but look at the bigger picture of all this. Removing a judge from office does not mean the government has won. The damage that this politicking against the judiciary will have caused to the nation, that is the loss I'm looking at for the nation, for the executive, for the common mwananchi, and for everybody in the republic, from the international community, from even internally, the businesses which may go astray, the confidence, loss of confidence that you have with our people. That means government losing, because government is supposed to ensure that the environment is good.
I got to leave. Do you have hope for this country? 1 second. Do you have hope?
A lot of hope. A lot of hope.
Very good. Do you have hope, Gabriela? At the end of the day?
So good, no.
We don't have hope?
No. We are focusing on the wrong things instead of focusing on what affects the people directly.
All right.
Yeah.
David, do we have hope?
A huge hope, 100%. All right. I believe we are headed the right direction, and Kenya is turning out to be one of the best in sub-Saharan Africa.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Guys, asanteni sana. Short and sweet. Tumemaliza hii maneno. Okay, David Alulu, who is a political and economic expert, thank you so much for joining us. Gabriela Lorere, who is a youth leader, Upia Party. Some of my colleagues cannot say Lorere. It's Lorere. Gabriela, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And Mwathi Waireri, who is also governance expert and a political analyst. Asanteni sana for joining us on the show. And you, as our viewer, you know how we do it. Thank you for being a part of the show. Good morning. Let's take a break. But Good Morning Kenya continues after this. Stay with us.
Habari njema kutoka redio yako pendwa ya Ingo FM kwa wakazi na mashabiki wa Bungoma. Sasa Ingo FM inasikika Ingo Bungoma kupitia masafa ya 103.5 FM. Sikiliza na uchangie, burudika ukifurahia uhondo wa kipekee kwa lugha ya nyumbani.
Awamu ya Baragawi CC, natural sweetness.
Kadhalika, tegea Ingo FM ukiwa maeneo ya Kakamega, Busia, Vihiga na Trans Nzoia kupitia 101.5 FM.
Isenikoli umwana wa kwendo mkhana wa imoni dala nombo nyala kunanga KK.
Ingo FM, ininginingi ye Muitala.
In a world filled with uncertainty, there is one thing we can always count on: the power of compassion and generosity. Every day, families in Kenya face unimaginable challenges and hardships. They struggle to put food on the table, provide shelter for their loved ones, and access basic health care. But today, you have the power to make a difference. By just contributing 1 shilling and 50 cents from your airtime, your generosity can provide access to sanitary pads, nutritious food, clean water, education, and life-saving medical care to those who need it most. To support this cause, please tune in to your favorite radio station under the KBC umbrella for step-by-step instructions on how to subscribe. KBC Helping Hands. Together, we can make a difference and bring hope to those in need.
All right, and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. After that heated debate, now we are almost crossing over to Mombasa and join my colleague Junei Karisa to continue the discussion from that side of the country. But just a quick one that, yes, Africa, AFCON Eco KBC, that is where you get the whole action. AFCON Eco KBC. Yesterday, the results were Nigeria and Equatorial Guinea drew at 1-1 draw. We also had Egypt versus Mozambique. 2-2 draw. They drew 2-2, and again Ghana versus Cape Verde. Ghana losing 2-1 to Cape Verde. That is what happened last evening. And yes, Senegal again. Today, Senegal will be taking to the pitch with Gambia. That is 7:70. That is 5 p.m. local time. Cameroon versus Guinea again will be playing today, as well as Nigeria will be taking on Angola at 11. And lastly, Burkina Faso and Mauritania will be at 17:00. That is 5 p.m. In these group matches, let me talk about Senegal versus Gambia. Senegal, my favorite here. Cameroon, Guinea, there is a very tight match. Algeria, Angola, let me talk of, Algeria is also a very strong team. Angola also have some good history. Burkina Faso, yes, Burkina Faso, most likely. But yes, that is as far as football is concerned. AFCON Eco KBC, that is where we get the whole action. All right, right about now, let's cross over to Mombasa, Sauti House, where Junei Karisa is standing by. We talk about the issue to do with impact on parenting. Junei, parenting is a full-time job, and I would imagine the kind of conversation that you're going to have. Please, as you take up the conversation, students are going back to school, but even as we do that, parents are also struggling to meet the demands of buying books, paying school fees, etc., etc., etc. My question, as you take it up, what is the impact of parenting? Junei.
Thank you so much, Victor. Although, as you have rightly put it, we are coming to you live from Sauti House here in County 001, County of Mombasa. It is true that parents are taking their children back to school right now. There are so many aspects to cover. There's so much ground to cover, and the financial constraints is also a reality on the ground. The impact of parenting is what we are doing today. Our topic of discussion is the impact of poor parenting. But before we go to the negativity, let's reverse back and talk about ideally what is parenting. What does the society deem as fit, and what does the society deem as good parenting? How does someone say that your son has turned out great, or how do you constitute that your son or your daughter has turned out as a failure in life? These are some of the array of discussions we're going to have with my guest who's here today. Karibu sana. Her name is Dr. Rebecca Kaguru. She is a senior lecturer at the Kenya School of Government, as well as the head of business linkages and collaboration at the Kenya School of Government. She is my guest today. She's a mother of 4 and a grandmom to 2 grandchildren. So that to my opinion, that is enough experience we need on this show today to just give us perspective as to what parenting is. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Yesterday, as I was having this discussion with my family members and telling them tomorrow we're going to talk about parenting,
Yes.
they told me, just tell people that there is no syllabus to parenting. You just have to apply whatever God has given you, and whatever leadership that God has given you, that is what you apply. As to you, what's your perspective? What is parenting according to you?
Thank you very much. Parenting, according to me, is actually a very important responsibility that we have been given by God Almighty, so that we can provide leadership and maximize on the potential of our children so that they can be what they were expected to be. So that is how I look at parenting. As parents, as leaders, molding the children to be what they are supposed to be. That is my perspective on parenting.
And
yes.
so recently, I personally took my child to school.
Yes.
And during the first week, I think I did make a lot of failures, but the teachers were there to help me through it. How does someone know that I'm supposed to put 1 + 1 so that I can raise a human being that the society says is good? How do you say that this child has turned out well? What are some of the pointers that you'd say that this is what has made the society look upon my daughter or my son with pride?
Thank you very much. I think I'll go a little bit back, because before we talk about the parent is supposed to have been prepared to be a parent. So if you've prepared yourself, and preparation means that you have a vision for your children. And it's not a vision that is based on what the society thinks, it's a vision based on what the manufacturer thinks about your children. And when I talk about a manufacturer, I mean that higher authority that actually created these children. So after you have prepared for parenting, then you'll be able to have a roadmap that is going to help you guide your children to be disciplined, to be committed, to be able to follow instructions and reduce disobedience. And that way, they turn out to be grown-ups that are responsible and that can be able to participate in the society. And that way, we reduce the very many disinfunctions that we have in the society currently. So I feel parents require leadership, they require training, so that as they take over the responsibility of taking care of their children, they are doing it with understanding and with information. So it's not a trial and error where you think that the way a parent in this family brought up their children is the way I'm going to bring up the children. So it has to be a preparation and a focus based on each individual parent. Yes.
Talking about the dysfunctions, you and I come from different generations,
Yes.
so as to speak. And also there is another generation after me.
Yes.
And that is where many families are breaking up right now. I am trying to raise my child based on what my generation thinks is good.
Yes.
But then they already have they are covered, or they are hugged with so much right now that is affecting their upbringing. I'm talking about technology. I'm talking about peer pressure. What we used to find as fun then is not what they find fun right now. We used to be an outdoor people. Right now, people just want Cocomelon and TikTok. So we come from different generations. For you as our parents, we used to tell us in the morning their chores to do. Right now, we have machines. I have a washing machine. I have a dishwasher for my children, that they are not contributing to him being responsible. So we have a very wide generational gap, and we're talking about 4 generation intercrossing to ensure that this child comes out as the best. How do we start from there?
Thank you very much. I believe the generations have changed, it is true, but the human being has still remained a constant. So each child is supposed to be socialized based on their current environment. It is true we have technology. It is true we have these machines, but as a parent, therefore, you now need to reorganize the activities and the duties that the child is supposed to do, because even if it's putting them in the machine, it's still a responsibility. Can they be able to operate this machine? Can they be able to be left and they are responsible so that all these machines, you find them working? So it is true the generations have changed, and it is true our children might not be expected to behave the way we were behaving. And that's why I encourage parents, it is true they have that syllabus. They are past syllabus. But then let them realize that these children now are growing in a different environment. And I would encourage parents also to socialize themselves in technology so that they understand what is required of this technology. Most parents don't know TikTok. When the children talk about TikTok, they don't know. When they talk about Cocomelon, they don't know. When they talk about Instagram, they don't know. So the parents of now have actually a greater role to be able to integrate with what is happening currently. And you prepare yourself. Learn to understand what are the dynamics of this child in this current environment where there's so much which is fighting them. And you see, psychologically, when you are seeing too much, you might not be able to think well. So that's the reason why, as parents, we have to limit the amount of time these children are spending on some of the programs. And we also get to understand what is Cocomelon. What does Cocomelon add to the child in terms of their thinking? Because at the end of the day, they spend so much time seated, and it impacts on their future in terms of what will they now turn out to be. Because if they spend all their time on the Cocomelon, now at the end of the day, what have they learned from the Cocomelon? So we have to have a compartment of timing. When do they watch, what are they actually supposed to be engaging in? Yeah, and that is where I'm finding a challenge as parents, especially working parents, who are very busy and they have not even socialized the manager at home so that she's able to know how to guide the children when they are left with them at home. So I feel the syllabus might be different, but the environment is what we really need to look at, the environment that we are in now.
Let's look at the roles of the man and the woman in the family. Mm-hmm. I understand they're single mothers. Yes. I understand they're single fathers. Circumstances might have led them to raise this child alone. And you might find that some of the children turn out okay. Mm-hmm. Some of them turn out with insecurities amongst them. Mm-hmm. But look in both scenarios. Yes. What is the role of both of them? And in the absence of one, how do you ensure that still this child is grounded? Yes.
Wow, these are some of the dynamics and the dysfunctions that we are talking about, or situations that our children are finding themselves in. So from a psychological point of view, the child is actually supposed to feel the presence of both the man and the woman. So the mother and the father. But situations where single mothers, like we are saying, single mothers are there, and there are very many of them. We might also have single fathers who are bringing up their children. So a single mother is supposed to have a father figure, maybe an uncle or maybe a father who is there, because the role of the different gender in the life of a child brings the balance, so that they are able to look at life from the two perspectives. So it's very important that these children are anchored to somebody who is responsible, so that even as they are growing up, they are not skewed in their growing up. They are able to look at life from the two perspectives. So if I look at the roles of the different members of the family, each one of us, of course, understands in a family there is a structure. So depending on that structure, each individual has a role to play. So there is a role of the mother in the family, and there is the role of the father in the family. So in terms of the leadership and in terms of structure, in an ideal home setup where there is a father figure, then the father is supposed to provide the leadership, so that the vision and all the cultures and the characteristics of these children is based on a certain standard, based on the leader. Just like in an organization like this one, there is the CEO and there is the board. So they give the guidelines on what is supposed to happen. So even in the family setup, for commitment and seriousness, the leader is supposed to provide a vision, so that everybody now follows suit to that vision.
An important point that you are raising when it comes to the bringing up of children. Yes. Many parents fail to disassociate themselves from the children.
Yes.
So that you can understand that this is June. June has her own life, and you lived your own life.
Yes.
So I may necessarily, because we grew up, my father was known to say, you're going to be an engineer, in fact, the 13 of us, he lined us up, this is going to be a doctor, this will be a lawyer. But when I grow up, there are maybe attributes that I like, and there are others that I certainly couldn't be a nurse, now I'm a journalist. But the associating and giving the child freedom to become who they are has become a very big dysfunction in the family. You might find that creates a rift between the parents and the children, because you do not meet the expectation of the parents. What do you tell? In fact, we have this trait in the fathers mostly, who insist you're supposed to be this, and they stand with their standpoint. What do you tell these parents?
Yeah, being a parent, actually, I've also experienced the same. My children tell me that there are things that I've told them that they are supposed to do that they feel are not what they are supposed to be. So it's very interesting how quickly, as a parent, you think for your child without realizing they have a potential and they have their life and they know what it's supposed to turn out to be. So it is true, as a parent, we give a standard, but then we should also have a flexible mind where we are able to interact with this child and get to understand them, so that then we don't waste their time. So as we are speaking now, one of my daughters feels that the degree that they did is our degree. So they still feel they need to ask themselves where they're supposed to be. And this is where I'm also asking the children to be more assertive to their parents and say, this is actually what I want. It is true.
Rebecca, there are parents who are like pythons.
Yes.
And you cannot even dictate. In fact, most of the children tend to just do away with it, so that they just dispose you so that I can continue their lives. How do I become assertive to that?
Yeah, so this is the reason why when we started, I started by saying that parenting is part of leadership. So if you're a good leader is a good listener. A good leader is a leader who allows the potential of that person they're leading to be maximized. And that way, they will actually say they have led. Because there will be a testimony of saying that when I was under the leadership of so-and-so, when I was in this family, they were able to help me develop in this way. So as parents, it's a challenge, and it's a learning process. And as you mature in parenting, actually you realize that you pressed these children so much when you were not supposed to have done so. So as you talked of this dynamic environment, because during our parents' time, there are so many pressures. Most of them didn't have shoes to wear. Whatever their children have now, to them was a prayer point. It's something that they had to pray about so that they can get through. So the fact that they lived in such a difficult environment should now help them change and realize their children now are in a totally different environment. So it is true, some parents can be pythons, but then, as I said, that is not leadership. Because your children need to actually have somebody who can listen to them and who can allow them to be themselves, not to be something else. Yeah. So I feel it's a challenge, but parents are supposed to actually direct their children as per what they want.
Okay.
Yes.
There is a common saying nowadays, mi nimechoka, wacha yeye afanye venye anataka. It's a point where most parents right now are really stressing about. Let's look at the costs as we widen it as national issues. They are criminal gangs.
Yes.
And whether you like it or not, a long time ago I used to think that's my neighbor's child, or that's another village's problem, until it became my problem, because my people were coming in to become like the ones that I'm thinking that they cannot become. So there are so many things that had made parents now give up on their children, give up how someone has become pregnant at the age of 14, another one has become a criminal gang. That's the other day I witnessed a 14, 16-year-old getting torched by a mob because he's just stolen a handbag. And these are behaviors that as a parent, when you're told at first, you have to deny because you can't imagine, this is my son. My son can't be a thief. So there are common problems that are reality right now.
Yes.
And we are seeing the police fight with the parents, telling them it's their responsibility. But then again, for parents to accept that my child, I've raised them up to be so good, how can they turn out to be thieves in the society? How can they be pregnant while I have put all the gates and all the CCTV cameras? So parents right now are reaching a point where they're saying that this is a point of no return. Let the world teach my son or my daughter what they want to. How do we reverse the gears so that we can ensure that it doesn't matter? Because I'm sure there's so many people who have gotten pregnant but have made a life out of themselves. The others who are thieves, but now they have been rehabilitated and reintegrated in the society. So for this parent who is watching and saying, hey, you don't know my child, I know him, we have done everything but we cannot do anything, even maombi haifanyi kazi kabisa, what do we do? What do we advise them?
Thank you very much. This is a reality on the ground as we are looking at what we are talking about, what is happening on the ground. So the reality is that our children actually have a lot of challenges, and some of them as a result of even our parenting styles, because the personalities of our children will very much depend on how we have not really brought them up, but the environment under which they have lived in. And because most of us as parents are very busy, sometimes we are not even there to get to know the character really of your child. And when we come back from work, even when the nanny tells you this is how your child behaved, you are not led even to believe. Because according to you, you feel that is not the way they are supposed to behave. Exactly. But that is how they are actually behaving. So we really need to get out of this denial. Because at the end of the day, this child of yours will not live with you forever. They are going to live with the society. And the society has certain expectations. And if that child is not able to fit in that society, they'll end up being burnt up, like you're saying. So it is actually a responsibility for all of us. It is a responsibility for all of us, and that's why maybe we might propose that there should be a school of parenting, where parents are actually assisted or empowered to understand what parenting is all about. And that's why the government is coming up with even with the curriculum, the competency-based curriculum, so that the children then are assisted to be able to conceptualize themselves, other than just thinking about other people, so that they are able to understand who they are. Because most of individuals actually do not know who they are. So they end up living a mirage of somebody else, and at the end of the day, they keep on asking, was this all about it? So we push them so much into the education without even knowing what they want, just like you're saying. So they are so frustrated, and some of them are ending up not able then to bring themselves back in order. So what I would encourage parents is to all of us to be together, so that we look at these children as the future, not now. How will they be when I'm not there? And you see, as I kept on insisting about leadership, for you to be a successful leader, it means when you go, then these children are able to actually grow up to be what they are supposed to be.
Parents who feel you shouldn't detect to me what my child is supposed to do. If you correct, in the older days, I understand, even I myself, we were raised as a society. Parenting was not just about my mom or dad. It was about my auntie, my uncle, my grandfather. They would beat me because they wouldn't feel. Right now, you cannot dare just go and hit someone else's child without being told, excuse me, I'll file a P3 or something. So how do you enforce that in a society? That's why you'll find the touching has come because this child has been told until they cannot be told again. How does the society then come in now in the present time so that they can feel this is not just about the parents but also a collective effort?
Well, I believe looking at what is happening right now, it is true what you are saying has been there before, but of late I'm in a group of new moms Yeah, and when I listen to their frustrations as far as parenting is concerned, it's actually come to their realization that you cannot use one formula. And you cannot only look at your children alone. So it is good actually to ask for help, especially in terms of emotion. Because some of us parents have emotional baggage that we have not handled. And since we have not handled it, we pass it over to the children. And in the process now it becomes a societal problem where all of us want to protect this child who does not require to be protected because already there is a problem. So we are in denial. So this is why I'm saying as parents, we really have to come out of ourselves and accept the reality and say, yes, there is a problem. It is my child. It is true I provided everything, but where I've reached, I need help. And my child requires help.
So what kind of help can we get? Because we are trying to reintegrate families.
Yes.
Accept that there are dysfunctions and we are not in denial anymore. But how can we pull everybody back?
Yes.
Tell people even if I'm a lost cause, but you can still come in and steer me in the right direction. How do we bring back the cohesion? How do we bring back the love? How do we bring back everybody to know their place in the family structure? How do we bring all that back?
So the first thing is these expectations that we started by talking, where everybody is expecting that you are supposed to be an engineer, like the way you are saying, I'm supposed to be a doctor. You know, the expectations are the ones that we need to speak to now, so that even those children who may look like they are misfits, or they look like they have not succeeded. Maybe they didn't even finish Form 4, or they don't even have a Class 8 certificate. But right now we have systems in place, the TVET colleges, where the children can still be encouraged to go and be able to develop their area of expertise, so that then they don't feel like they are social misfits. We also have family counselors who can also counsel the emotional gaps that are there in these children, because some of them have faced very many traumatic experiences as they are growing up. So they have not been able to close the expectation, because if I'm expecting you to be an engineer and now you are a thief, that is already a very big gap between what I was expecting you to be and what you are. But the reality is this. So how do we now deal with you so that the future does not become a death sentence for you? So I feel there's room for the whole society, the church, the mosque, everybody to play their role to actually provide the leadership to this generation, because this is our resource. These young people, the children, are the resource that we have for the future of this country. So we really have to speak to them and be patient. That is another characteristic the parents need to have. The money issues are there, but then you have a resource, you have an investment. How do you ensure this investment then is able to multiply in the future? Because these same children, you'll expect them to have their own children. So the way we take them now will be very, very important for their posterity. And sustainability is very, very critical in the society right now. So in the midst of all the issues that are happening, as parents, we still have a very critical role to provide that guidance, regardless of how terrible you think your child is, because these are still your children. We are not going to throw them away, and we are not going to give them to the society, because the society also expects us to have done our part, and then they also do their part. So I feel the government has also provided many avenues currently right now, because we have leadership from even the grassroots, and we are emphasizing every child to go to school. That's why we are offering the bursaries and all the things that the government is doing, so that the society is actually put at one standard, so that we are providing like a base for all the children to be able to feel that they are being taken care of. Even those that are not even getting an opportunity to go to college right now, we have the Ajira program, an online training which is free. If you have Wi-Fi, you can actually be able to log in and get training. So I feel the society requires more information of what opportunities are available right now for these young people, so that one, they are not frustrated and stay at home doing nothing. 2, they are encouraged that regardless of what has turned out, there is still hope for you. Yeah. Even if we are talking of prayer, the prayer can also work, but now we have to face the reality based on the personality of your child. Mm-hmm. Yes.
As we bring in more stakeholders into the whole structure, it's true that we have people like Wazee wa Mtaa, who are now watchdogs over the society, and then it goes up the ladder. However, when it comes to now the relationship between these enforcers and the parents, it's become a very strained relationship, particularly here in Mombasa. I've seen so many public barazas where the police are very, very adamant in putting up public barazas so that they can talk to the parents and tell them this is the realities, because there's been a lot of denial in parents when it comes to how their children have turned out to be, because probably it's the age issue and so many other issues. So there's been a strained relationship between let's say the police will have religious leaders, will have, and the parents themselves. How do we ensure that it works, that the relationship works, so that the parent can trust that the police is saying? Because now we are having situations where here in Mombasa again, children are disappearing. This one has been told warnings, they have gone to the police, the parents have released them every time, but now it has reached a point where they cannot trust the police because their children are disappearing, and they know the police is the one who picked them up. So there have been a broken relationship before, but how do we come back and build that cohesion between the stakeholders who are trying to also help the parents?
So I feel what you're saying about Mombasa, and I don't think it's a problem only in Mombasa, because I've been to a county like Nyeri where most of the children also have issues, and a lot of issues affecting them, especially when they have dropped out of school and they feel they are not able to do anything. So some of them can end up resorting even to stealing and all these issues, and then it becomes a very big societal problem. And as you're putting it rightly, the law enforcers will have to come in place, because stealing is not something that is allowed, or these kind of dysfunctions that I mentioned. So I still appeal to the parents and also appeal to the law enforcers, because as I said, all of us want to maximize on the potential of this particular individual. So how do we then again still have trust? Because as I said, as long as the child is over 19 years of age, or even less, and they are not abiding by what is expected of them, then that law, the police officer has a role to ensure that then there is what? Order within the what? Within the society. So my plea is that all of us remember that we still have this particular resource, who is the child. So how do we model them? Yeah, so that at the end of the day, they are able to speak to themselves, and they are able to look at themselves as a future, not as a parent, not looking at me as my mother's kid. No, you grow up and you become an individual and succeed. And that way, I feel the society will be better off than it is right now.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for making time for us, Dr. Rebecca Kaburu.
Thank you.
You have given insightful pointers to say to parents who may be struggling with their children, or maybe wanting more tips so that they can ensure that the issue of poor parenting does not crop up in the family structure. Today morning we have been trying to reintegrate, promote cohesion among the family setup by trying to give out advice to parents on how they can model their children. It is true, parenting does not have a syllabus. You just have to put 1 + 1 together to ensure that your child, and pray to God that your child comes out well. But that doesn't mean there is no room for for advice. There are so many topics that we can divert to, but that's all the time that we had this morning. We'll be looking forward to continue this discussion in future. However, our time is up and we have to wrap it up. So from Mombasa County, it has been a pleasure joining us this morning. And as we wrap up, my name is Juni Karisa on behalf of my technicians here in Mombasa County. Do have a pleasant day, and thank you for keeping it KBC Channel 1.
Habari njema kutoka redio yako pendwa ya Ingo FM kwa wakazi na mashabiki wa Bungoma. Sasa Ingo FM inasikika Ingo Bungoma kupitia masafa ya 103.5 FM. Sikiliza na uchangie, burudika ukifurahia uhondo wa kipekee kwa lugha ya nyumbani.
Awamu ya Baraga UCC, natural sweetness.
Kadhalika, tegea Ingo FM ukiwa maeneo ya Kakamega, Busia, Vihiga na Trans Nzoia kupitia 101.5 FM.
Iseni koli, umwana wa kwendo, mkana wa imoni dala, nombo nyara kunanga, KK.
Ingo FM, ininginingi ye muitala.
It's a cocktail of emotions. The puns that cracks up the family. Greed that yields power and a hunger for success. Trends turn to falls. Survival for the fittest is the drive.
Who are we blackmailing?
But nothing beats the feud in a family where one disappears and another fights for the crown.
It was not supposed to go this far.
It's the desire to succeed that keeps us going, the deception that keeps us digging, and the laughter pill that keeps us living.
Welcome back from June Karisa in Mombasa. We now get into a totally different conversation, and right this very moment we are going to be discussing agribusiness and food security in the country. And joining me for this particular conversation is Professor Richard Oduor, who is the chairman, Kenyatta University Biotechnology Consortium, and he is a biotechnologist. We also have on my immediate left, we have Dr. Ruth Mbogwa, and she is the Dean School of Health Sciences, Mama Ngina University College. And joining us also for this particular conversation is Honorable Ruku Geoffrey Keringa, and he is the MP Mbeere North constituency and a trustee at Water Services Trust Fund. Welcome to the conversation and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're doing all right?
Yes.
All right.
Maybe just to correct, I'm not a trustee at Water Service Trust Fund.
Oh.
I was a trustee many years ago.
Okay.
In 2015.
Sorry about that.
Yes.
Sorry about that. All right. And if we may just get directly into this particular conversation, I want to begin with this particular research. Now, in the 2023 Global Hunger Index, Kenya ranks 90th out of 125 countries. So this shows that our level of hunger in the country is serious, if I may say so. If I may just get comments from each one of you concerning that. Where is the problem? What is happening? How is it that our level of hunger is bad? It's serious. Beginning with you, Honorable Ruto, kindly.
Thank you. Any nation to develop must, first of all, be able to feed its population. And any nation which cannot be able to feed its people, that's a banana republic. And I think we are where we are today as a nation because of policies which previous regimes, starting with Mzee Kenyatta to Moi to Kibaki, all the way to where we are today, because of policies which have been made in the past, as far as food security is concerned. And we have to get it right in terms of coming up with proper policies, and not only policies, but also regulations and registration in Parliament, which can spur the productivity of our land in terms of getting water for irrigation, where we can't be able to get rainfall, enough rainfall to do farming, in terms of getting farm inputs such as fertilizer and other farm input which are required, and also getting it right as far as seeds are concerned. And we are talking about all manner of seeds. And these seeds must be certified seeds, which we can say the yield of these seeds is known. And for them to be certified, then it means at the background there must be institutions working on that process. Those institutions, some of them must be research institutions, and must be supported by the government. So I think where we are is because we have not been able to get it right from the previous administrations. But I think with Kenya Kwanza government, President is trying to do everything possible, and that's why there is subsidized fertilizer at the moment. And that's why from this year is coming up with dams across the nation, so that there can be provision of irrigation water, which will be geared towards ensuring there is productivity of our land. And therefore, this problem of hunger, food insecurity, malnutrition can be solved. But also looking at the climate change, which is also impacting the productivity of our land in a serious manner. And this is something which also Kenya Kwanza government is championing in a very strong manner. And you know, the President has been at the forefront of campaigning for a change globally in terms of climate change, especially when it comes to financing structure of solving this problem of climate change, because we have huge, like for instance at the moment we have El Nino which is going on, flooding. We have seen how it has destroyed not only infrastructure but also crops in farms. So it's quite a number of things which are compounding the problem of food insecurity. But I think with the proper policies, proper registration and commitment from the central government, we can be able to solve this problem once and for all.
We can avert it. All right, according to you, Prof, where are we going wrong? You know, speaking as a biotechnologist.
I think, Vivian, we are where we are because of many things. I think we are here because we have not taken advantage of the resources that we have as a country. If you look at, and we have not also looked into how do we harness the existing technologies so that we can uplift or increase the food production. Look at, for instance, the precision agriculture, where we should be using GPS and drones and remote sensing to uplift the food production. You can easily see that we are currently, as a country, very heavily using drones, but it is largely for capturing photos and camera and all that, and that's what drone is known for in this country. I can tell you, the same drone, all you need to give it is a very clear, nice, powerful camera. As it is flying over your farm, you are able to it's able to pick pictures, and those pictures can be reconciled at the back end to get to know which area of that land is actually drying off and requires irrigation, which area is requiring what fertilizer because of the pictures that have been picked from that point, and which area is being attacked by whatever disease because it can pick the pictures and we can see them from where we sit from back end. That is precision agriculture. The second thing that is also very important that we need to look at is take advantage of the mobile telephony. In this country, most people have mobile phones. But what are we using them for? Accessing content and that is created in the social media, a lot more communication, which is fine. But if you want to use that in terms of food production, then what are the contents that are being created towards agriculture? How do you feed information about forecast? You see, right now we are seeing floods, and this is not new. The meteorological department actually declared a while ago that this will happen. But once we had that, what did we do with that information? How routinely do we still pass information that is critical to farmers? Do they know when to plant? Do they know the right seed? Do they know how to prepare the soil? When to weed? And even when to do these agronomic practices that are critical for food production. That information is there. Then we also need to look at what we call AgTech platform. Yes, you want to do agriculture, but some farmers will ask you, where is the market? A farmer who is in Mbere North, for instance, where Mheshimiwa is talking about, that farmer has no clue what to do with the the mugoka, which they are harvesting there. All they know is that they have planted it, how it's going to be picked from that place to Nairobi at whatever speed, and we meet them on the road as they're trying to transport the mirror. It's some other system. So who is connecting this farmer with the market, and who is training them to get to know at what point should they even harvest and play around with the market dynamics so that they get the more out of that? That is also worrying. Look at the bigger thing, for instance, Vivian, the youth that we have. Have we taken advantage of the youth really to start enticing them in matters agriculture and making the technologies more trendy to them? There is no way you'll get a girl who is 18 years old to tell them to go to the farm, to start using the hoe. So make it trendy for them. Let it make sense to them. And that is why we are saying we have a lot more things and that we need to put in place. But more importantly also, new technologies in terms of seed generation. And that is where I come in terms of biotechnology. What kind of the quality of the seed are we giving these farmers so that at the end of it all, they are protected against, say, drought, for instance, against pests and diseases. All those are critical. And then I also think, and Mheshimiwa talked about it, what is the government's role then? The government needs to, if you look at this country, we have a big chunk of land and people can do agriculture, but how do you tell somebody in Samburu or in Northeastern to do agriculture without water? And that is why the discussion around the dams, so that once you have water, you are able to irrigate, and that is very important for the people who want to venture into it. And I can tell you, food security and food business is the only thing that is constant, and it's assured that there's always market, but we need to harness all this information in ways that can build consensus and drive agribusiness and food security.
Your take on the same, Doc?
Thank you, Vivian. I think from my end, I like first of all to say that it's quite a great concern when we see like over 4 million Kenyans are food insecure. And again, from the health perspective, looking at a quarter of the children that we have who are below 5 years are actually stunted. And the main contributor of this is food insecurity. So really, there is much that is to be done, and I would say that as the government, we've had very good strategies that have been put across, like Prof has mentioned, but it's not all about having the strategies in place, but really how far are we in implementing them. So like we have the agri-business strategy, but looking at maybe what is put across there, coming to the ground and checking what is going on. As he's saying, there is that farmer who is in that remote area, does not even understand what is in there. And I think the main thing we have is there's lots of gaps in terms of knowledge, in terms of technology. And of course, when we have lots of gaps in knowledge in terms of something that is to be implemented, then we can say that even these strategies that we do have actually remain like things which are just in offices, just for dust to gather around. So I strongly believe that we need to come up, there should be private-public partnerships. The government needs to come out strong to look at the strategies as articulated and really come true to their word, like, for example, increasing knowledge. Like in Kenya, we should have adequate, the knowledge hubs that should be there, such that if I am a farmer and I have a mobile phone, I should be able to access lots of information. Maybe my interest is maybe sweet potatoes, for example. But where do I get this information from? All these are lacking. So we need to take advantage of the technology that is already in place, leverage on what is existing, and then together come and see what you can be able, because this is not a fight that is going to be won by one person. And I like to state that as Prof has put across, we have this group, the youths. And of course, we are talking about the youths being jobless, but how much have we done to ensure that this group, we are able to capture them, to make like agriculture look very attractive to them. And then from this also, they are assisted to be able to come up with, you know, like how do they get to the market, sharing knowledge across. We could have mobile apps that can be able to distribute this information, platforms where we have knowledge. And then as well, of course, if you look at the strategy, mostly talking about coming out of the subsistence farming to actually innovative ways of farming, as well as commercialization. But the question is, how do we achieve this? So I do feel that we need to have intentional people coming together, lots of private-public partnership, and coming from an institution of higher learning, lots of research is needed. And from this research, this is where we also get the new technologies. So Prof is talking about biotechnology, but how many people understand much about it?
Exactly.
Yes, and also we are talking about farmers are struggling, for example, with having to have crops, pesticides are needed. They plant whatever they are planting, but then the output is so little. Yet we have a lot that has been going on in the country in terms of research, but dissemination of this also remains a problem. So I strongly feel that if we support research, technology is the way to go. Looking at other countries and how they have made it, if we just stick to traditional methods of doing what we are doing, then ultimately we will not get different results. So if we have to get different results, we have to get innovations. Innovations, mostly we have to have a strong base of research, and then we support this evidence and be able to ensure that we implement. And of course, that sharing of information across, so that anybody in this country is able to understand exactly what is going on. So like we've had a lot of talks whereby people do not understand about, for example, genetically modified foods. So this is a big question. So I'll say no to it, but I don't understand what it's all about. So I think these are conversations that need to be put up in every space that we have, and everybody should take advantage of it, from the political group. Of course, the government should be the key player, and as well as other private firms. And also we have the institutions of higher learning, especially should come out strong in terms of the research that is being conducted for this particular area.
All right, and on that note, we'll take a very quick break, and then we'll come back to continue with this conversation.
Get ready for the captivating return of the FKF Premier League, exclusively on KBC. Brace yourself for the thrill of football as 18 teams battle it out for glory. Every week, KBC brings you not one, but two heart-pounding matches, delivering the best football action right to your living room. The stakes are higher than ever. The league champion takes home a handsome prize of 5 million shillings and also earns the honor of representing Kenya in the prestigious CAF Champions League. Feel the adrenaline, experience the suspense, and join the roar of the crowd as we celebrate the return of Kenya's football legacy. The FKF Premier League, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1 and KBC radio stations. Save the date, mark your calendars, and get ready for the ultimate football spectacle. Coming to you live only on KBC. KBC, your true sports partner.
And we are back. Welcome back to the show. Now, we've touched base on just what may be ailing food security in this particular nation. And I now want us to get into the new technologies that have been put in place or that are being used right now. And I will direct this to you, Prof, on GMOs specifically, because that is the technology that is being used right now. If you may just get us into it, what's the science behind it?
Thank you, Vivian. I must say, though, that we haven't done very well as the scientists who are actively involved in this technology in terms of disseminating the kind of capacity that we have as a country. It would interest the nation to know that for the last 18 years, this country has been involved in development of GMO crops. And it started at Kenyatta University in 2005, and the lab was commissioned by the late Professor George Saitoti that time. Imagine for 18 years we have been doing research at Kenyatta University, but the public doesn't know. So it means we have been doing this, but it's kept within the ranks of academicians and probably publications that are not really accessible to the general public. What exactly do we do when we talk about biotechnology and GMO, to be more precise? We understand, and that's the truth, that the world provides everything. There is everything for every situation and circumstances. And what the technology has now, the level we have reached in terms of genetic engineering and genome editing now, we are able to ask ourselves very pertinent questions. That you look at, for instance, you look at cassava, and you find that cassava, some of them that have bigger tubers are bitter. They contain cyanide. And of course, Dr. will tell you that cyanide has a lot of serious implications, and people die, and babies have been dying, and even adults. It has even implications on their sight and many other things. Then you ask yourself, why is cassava that we are supposed to eat the one, again, supplying us with cyanide? Then you need to ask yourself, why is, in the first place, some cassava varieties producing cyanide? Then through science, we get to know that cyanide is a product that is guided by the DNA. And the whole reason why cassava is producing that is to protect itself so that it's not overly eaten, because it is survival for the fittest. That is the truth for anything that is alive. Then we say, okay, then we need to understand that there are some cassavas that don't have a lot of cyanide because we still eat them. So the question would be, if you compare this one that produces cyanide and the one that doesn't, what is the difference? Then as a biotechnologist, we go into the DNA and start figuring out. You realize that the other cassava that doesn't produce the cyanide has certain set of sequences in the genome. The other one doesn't have. And that is what now genome editing comes and say you are both cassava, This one produces something that we don't eat, and yet it has bigger tuber. So why do we want this one that produces cyanide? Sometimes you realize that the tubers are bigger and therefore will give us, drive us towards food security. So how do we help the humanity? We go in there, sequence the two cassavas, get to know what is the difference between the genome for this one and the other one, and that is what you realign using the normal technology that we have as a country. We are trained in this and we understand it. So when we do that, then you hear people saying you're causing cancer, yet the same genome has been there. That's one aspect. In nutrition that Dr. talked about here, about stuntedness and lack of, for a long time people have been talking about food quantity, but I can tell you in the corridors of food production and health, we are now talking a lot more around food quality. So it's not about carbohydrates, it's about the mixture of all other nutrients that are required. So for instance, when you are taking your nice githeri in the morning, you are taking your carbohydrates from the maize or from the waru, and you are taking a bit of your proteins from the beans and a bit of vitamins and all that from the nyanyas and the tomatoes and all that you're using, and it becomes a balanced food. Now we are saying if we don't have now beans to give you carbohydrates, because to give you proteins, you cannot only eat carbohydrates. So we as genetic engineers, what we know is that in your mouth, and this is something we need to tell people, anytime you're eating your ugali and beef, in your mouth you are mixing the DNA from cows and DNA from maize, and you don't grow with horns and you don't have leaves, and yet you are eating these things with the DNA. So the moment you understand the basics of biotechnology, then it will become very easy that then why would you not get your proteins in maize, yet both of them are plants? So genetic engineers, we come and say we want to profile beans and identify the competency that is in bean that makes it make protein and not maize. At that particular point we have a technology, and I can tell you, Vivian, is very basic because it happens naturally anyway through horizontal or vertical gene flow. So we can specifically move that capacity to maize. At that particular point, that maize will be called the GMO, and you will hear people saying it's so bad it causes cancer. You naturally still eat beans, you naturally still eat maize. If we mix them genetically, then where did this cancer story come from? And there is, yes.
Yeah, I would want the doctor to come in on that, but before she does, allow me to cut you short and just speak to Honorable Ruku. Honorable Ruku, it is quite evident that the public is completely out of touch on matters GMO. So what is hindering, maybe the government from creating enough public awareness to the people so that they get to understand these GMOs? Because we hear many misconceptions around it. So it's very clear that no one has really gone to the ground to speak to them, including the farmers.
Thank you, Vivian. I think this space is dominated by agrochemicals industry. And it's a big business. And anytime a government want to make a step in the right direction towards the GMO, promoting GMO, you hear civil society going to court, making a lot of noise, saying that government is now on its path of regularizing food production or things which will cause cancer to its population, and many people will go to court. At the moment, BT maize, which has gone through all the measures or all the safety measures under the Biosafety Authority of Kenya, is in court, and the ruling is going to be made probably next month or I think next month. And this variety of maize should be in our farms at the moment, so that we can be able to take care of food insecurity in this country. Last year, government trying to import maize, but there was no maize anywhere in the world. It was a big problem, and that's why the prices of unga went up. So we need to ensure we have enough production to cater for our local consumption. So Biosafety Authority is doing all what it can with very little or with very small budget to ensure we have BT maize, we have BT cotton already in our farms at the moment. And the production of cotton in this country in 1980s and early 90s, it was one of the biggest foreign exchange earner. But the production of cotton died. At the moment, the demand of cotton in the world, you can't be able to satisfy that demand. And that's why the government ensured the first budget to be aligned on the value chain process is this budget, where we're investing in production, and whatever we are producing in our farms, we take care of value chain. We know that there is this factory which you uptake what you are producing, to process it, to add value, and probably consume locally and even export. So there is charge of agrochemicals industry who have benefited in a serious manner over the years, because what does BT cotton cures or BT maize cures? It cures, this is a variety of maize or variety of cotton which is resistant to certain infection. It's resistant to certain bacteria. So it is able to grow in our agroecological zones and be more productive, because there's less infections as compared to variety which has not undergone modification to make it more resistant to infection, to bacteria, and to, as he was talking about, cassava, also variety of cassava that cannot be infected by virus. Therefore, there is more yield. More yield means there is plenty to be consumed and to be processed into other product within the economy. Yeah. So we have to tell Kenyans, don't listen to civil society as far as GMO or some of these genetic modification is concerned in our country.
Yeah, and
they are in business.
Yeah. The main concern of the people generally is that it causes cancer. And now that we have a Medicare, my question to you, very direct, does GMO cause cancer? And what is the relation between cancer and GMO? Is there any relation?
Really, Vivian, we know that in the corridors there's been lots of talk, and also looking at research that has been done, you find that approximately 51% of Kenyans will avoid GMOs because they feel that it's of public health concern. But I'm here to confirm that this is misinformation. And as Mheshimiwa is saying, Honorable Ruku, looking at the players on the ground, people have got vested interest in various things. So when we are talking about genetically modified foods, we are looking at saving of costs, like pesticides are less used, the output will be greater. And then also as a medic, we talk about sometimes even fortification. Like we could find that vitamin A deficiency is a problem. So we have a food that is produced and then there is vitamin A in it. So I'm here to confirm that the public should not be misguided based on interest from different corners. And I like to say that genetically modified food is safe. And looking at even other markets, if you go to other developed countries, you find, like, for example, corn, 90% of their corn is actually genetically modified. And we do not say that, for example, there is discrepancies in terms of the cancers which are there. Actually, you find that the lower middle income countries are actually also having lots of cancer. So I'd like to say that genetically modified food is safe for consumption. And mainly the talk that has been there is because of misinformation. And as we are here today also, we like the public to actually, it is good to get information from the right people. And also, of course, in the political circles, we have seen lots of information thrown in. And sometimes when we have very prominent people coming out strong and building a conversation, then you find that the rest of Kenyans are able to believe that. So we like to call upon all Kenyans to join hands so that we support technology, because as we are right now, climatic crisis is there. Looking at the increase in the population that we have, And of course, the production is minimizing. So what is the way forward? We have to embrace technology. And the only way to discuss a matter is actually to have facts about it. So research has been done. We have the National Biosafety Authority. So we are not talking from a point of just talking. So like we'll have the tests which have been done to ensure that really the risks are not there for that food, because it cannot be distributed when it is actually found to have anything that is risky for the population. So genetically modified food is safe, and actually it might be the magic bullet to the food insecurity that we are talking about. Looking at cancer, of course, cancer also is surrounded by lots of myths and misconceptions. And I like to state that it doesn't matter whether you are eating the traditional food that we have or the genetically modified foods. It depends with the kind of food that you select. For example, we talk about going for the whole grains, avoiding lots of fats in your diet, engaging in exercise, of course, avoiding too much sugar, because of course this comes with increase in weight and obesity, and we know of course these are risk factors for cancer. And looking at cancer itself, nobody can stand and say that cancer is caused by this and this. It remains a mystery for all of us. But of course there are those things that you talk about, the risk factors. So some of the risk factors, the main one is actually healthy eating. So I like to inform the public that for you to prevent yourself from cancer, it is not the genetically modified foods that cause the cancer, but it is actually your choice in terms of the food that you take in. So when you take meat, you avoid the very fatty meat, you take lean meat. Avoid processed foods, because processed foods have got lots of chemicals, and these ones are likely to cause the cancer. If you are able to understand your ideal weight as a person, so you check your intake versus your output, meaning that you engage in regular exercise, as well as ensuring that you go for your screening. So this is where what we have to take up as the public to prevent ourselves from cancer. But we also have to understand that this quarter, or rather 25% of children that we are talking about who are below 5 years, who have stunted growth, we know the implications of that. It's got effects on their psychological development, effects on their brain development. So we really have to come out from the shell of depending on statements that come from individuals, but really looking at science and asking ourselves, what is the science saying? So Prof has explained very well what is this that we are talking about when we are describing a food that is genetically modified. So the connection of this with cancer, these are just part of the misinformations that we do have. And also looking at the recently released report about what the public perceives of the GMOs, you find that many people will say that really, I say I cannot consume them, but asked why, they really don't have the answers. So I think it's high time as a country we change the conversation, bring it into different spaces, and let the public know that right now with what is going on, we have got no choice but to embrace technology. And this technology comes when it's backed up with facts, and also we have regulatory bodies that will ensure that nothing that is harmful will be able to be circulated into the market. And therefore, talking about GMO and cancer, I will say that that is really part of the misinformation. Yeah, thank you.
All right, now because of time, Prof, maybe why are there still concerns as we wrap up? Because I'm being told we only have around 5 minutes to wrap it up. Why are there still concerns on matters GMO?
We still have a lot of concerns because we took time to start explaining this. And I can tell you in the last 5 years, there has been a lot of, dissemination from some of us, and that is why even we started the Kenya University Biotechnology Consortium that I chair, and of course also other players, ISA and many others that are in the space of dissemination. But what is more important is a lot more communications such as this. And I'm very happy today that I am here. To my left there is Mheshimiwa, and to my right there is Ambedik. And then now the scientists that do this. If we can continue having such kind of communication, because what the Mheshimiwas actually say, they are the people. In the recent net mapping that was done, we realized that politicians are actually the people who have the populace, and what they say matters a lot. And therefore, if we can rally them and talk to them and build their capacity so that they are able to speak with some facts around this, because if what is interesting with politicians is that when whatever they say is also taken as stark truth by the electorate, and sometimes it's not true, because you'll hear some of them saying it will grow, let you grow certain parts of your body. Of course, we are in public media, I wouldn't want to say some of those words. And this is worrying, and they say, and they get away with it. Then at that particular point, doctors, for instance, the people who are actually right now prescribing GMO insulin, the interferons and gene therapy platform that are GMO, but there's nobody coming again talking about it. So when we get medics actually coming to talk about it and trying to demystify this, we will be really at a good place. So the concerns are just fears that people developed over the years, and we need to unpack that. And they also need to come physically and ask us, because we are scientists, we are being paid from taxpayers' money, and we therefore need to be a little accountable to what is it that we are doing that benefits them. So let them come to Kenyatta University, let them go to Calro, let them go to ILRI. Those are labs that are doing genetic engineering for this country. So for me, I would say the concerns are unfounded, and anytime you feel you have genuine concern, please, our numbers are available. Come to Kenyatta University, we will show you the lab, we will show you the GM products, and you will realize that all this actually in other languages are just hot air and wild goose chase, if I may plagiarize such kind of words. Thank you so much.
Honorable Ruko, your parting shots on this matter.
Kenya Kwanza government is seriously supporting the new paradigm shift when it comes to food security, and all options on the table. One of the options is promoting GMO. There are charges of people going to court and ejecting some of the steps which have been made in the right direction. This is a challenge which we have to deal with, and the president has decided that he has to call out Judiciary and say it can't continue holding good or positive steps which the government is making. One of the positive steps which the government is making through Biosafety Authority is to promote implementation or uptake of genetically modified varieties of crops, whether it is cotton, whether it is maize, whether it's cassava, whether it is Irish potatoes, whether it's sweet potatoes, for the purposes of food security for our country. That is clear from where I sit as far as the Kenya Kwanza administration is concerned.
All right, thank you so much for your input on this matter, Dr. Ruth, Professor Richard Odwor, and Honorable Ruku. And this is where we call it a wrap right here on Good Morning Kenya. On behalf of the entire team, we want to wish you a lovely day. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing.
It's a cocktail of emotions, the puns that cracks up the family, greed that yields power, and a hunger for success. Friends turn to foes. Survival for the fittest is the drive.
Who are we blackmailing?
But nothing beats the feud in a family where one disappears and another fights for the crown.
It was not supposed to go this far.
It's the